Water is life. Yet right now, Florida is in the grip of the worst drought in 25 years. We are on fire today in the state. We are under strict level 3 water restrictions. Our taps are under threat. Our lawns are dying up, and yet tech conglomerates want to build massive water-guzzling data centers that will suck millions of gallons of drinking-grade water out of our ground every single day just to keep their computer servers cool. They want us to trade our survival to cool the digital cloud, and I ask you, with what water? We are already running out, and the water we have left, we have poisoned. Look at the Peace River right in my backyard. It once ran clear enough to drink straight from the current. Today, a century of phosphate mining has turned it into a toxic industrial drain. It is choked with acidic wastewater, heavy metals, and radioactive radium. The fish are dying, the algae is blooming, and the communities along the banks are left with poison wells. We don't even have the technology or the ability to clean these chemicals out of our current supply, yet let alone support a new industry. Look at the Everglades. Because of decades of terrible water management, our irreplaceable wetlands are literally burning underground. In this brutal drought, the ancient peat soil dries out and catches fire below the surface. It burns invisibly for weeks, turning centuries of life-giving ecosystems into ash. And we can't stop it because the water we need to put out the fires has already been drained and lost. The very foundation of Florida's wildlife is burning to a crisp. Look at the Ben Holloway River. Our own state government officially reclassified a pristine river into an industrial wastewater canal, just so a paper mill could legally dump toxic sludge into it for 50 years. They banned swimming, they banned fishing, they sacrificed the drinking water of low-income and Black communities for corporate profit. This is a reality. Our rivers are chemically compromised, our soil is burning, and our citizens are rationing water just to survive. There is nothing clean or green about a digital future that demands the sacrifice of our drinking water. Every single gallon a data center consumes to cool an artificial intelligence server is a gallon stolen from a thirsty child, a gallon stolen from a dying river, and a gallon stolen from a farm trying to grow our food. We cannot clean the messes we already have. We cannot afford to let our remaining resources be degraded by even one more drop. If the state of Florida can tell you that you cannot waste your grass, then this community has the absolute sacred right to tell big tech you cannot have our drinking water. No water, no data centers. Protect our home, protect our animals, protect our crops, and remember the truth before it is too late. Mene we kone. Water is life, and thank you.
Thank you. Miss Cindy, all right, there you go. For those of you who weren't here when we first started this, wave your hand and celebration or whatnot, whatever you have to do, just let's keep it quiet, we'll move along. Miss Cindy.
Hi, thank you, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to thank each and every one of you. I have a little story, and if y'all stick with me, I promise there's...
We have your name and address.
Sorry, Cindy Lang Vaughn, 7542 Southwest Environmental Lab Street. So I'm way the other side of town. I've had a lot of people ask me why I'm here. It won't affect me, but my story will lead to it. I stood in this exact spot maybe 10 years ago and faced another, I guess, hazard. At the time, some of you may remember, dirt pits were going to go in along Kings Highway. There was one at the corner of Kings Highway and 72, one I believe at Addison and Kings Highway. One did slip through. And we were told it wouldn't affect us. We were told all our concerns were nothing to be worried about. My little story is about the dirt pit at the end of 760. When it went in, for the first year or two, we didn't really have any problems. They were very good about the sound. We didn't hear them. Fast forward, when we bought our property, we bought it from a man named Duncan Damage. Many of you may remember him. He was actually the mayor once of Arcadia. It was a beautiful property. She took a lot of time planning it. There was a beautiful half-acre, quarter-acre pond stocked with bass, beautifully planted, lush. as the dirt pit went on, the water level decreased a little. Not much, it was spring fed, so it would fill back up, and it would go down, and it would fill back up. Enter Ian. When Ian hit, which was the most amount of water this county's ever seen, you'd think my pond would have filled all the way up. But what happened was everyone bought dirt. And when everyone bought dirt, that mine went into overdrive. 24/7, we could hear backup beepers, you could hear the pumps running. One afternoon, we sat and watched, and we could literally watch the water level of my pond go all the way down. It thawed, it came back up. Within 2-3 days, it went dry. It's been dry ever since. Commissioner DeSoto, you know this. Your family just filled in the pond that was on the front of Arena Games property not long ago. A pond that was also like mine there probably 20 years. It's very sad. My thought and my concern about the water is the same thing I had a concern about the dirt mines. Has any impact been studied on the effect of the aquifer? We are downstream. We're downstream of all these other counties that may or may not put in a data center. So if they're drawing water and everyone's drawing water before it comes to us, we may not have enough water for that data center to draw water. Has anyone given any concern to that? Beyond that, I'm here for another reason as well. I'm actually an employee of Barkman Honey. Anyone who knows Barkman Honey, we're less than a mile from where this data center is going in. To give you an idea of Barkman Honey, we have multiple plants. We have one in Kansas, one in Ohio, and one in New York. We are one of the largest honey producers, manufacturers in the United States. Our contracts are Walmart and Publix and Costco. We produce roughly 15 to 25,000 pounds of honey a day at that factory. The thing about data centers, and our company is actually funding research with Cornell and a couple other universities, is the effects of electromagnetic fields in bees. Electromagnetic fields affect bees. Bees use the Earth's gravity to navigate. It's how they tell other bees where food is. It's how they tell other bees where flowers to pollinate are. So thinking about that and doing a little of my own research and contacting Cornell and these companies, it's becoming scary for people in the bee industry. I know there's a lot of apiaries here in Southwest Florida, and my concern would be for them. At what point are the bees going to be affected to the point that there aren't going to be any bees? And people wonder why it matters. To give you an idea, I have it written somewhere. Hang on a second. Okay. Bees are essentially the global ecosystem because their pollination sustains biodiversity, power agricultural systems contributing $15 billion to the value of U.S. crops each year. They also pollinate roughly 75% of the world's flowers. Keeping that in mind, if in fact this data center goes in, you could have a 6-mile dead zone around it where there won't be bees. They get confused. They often abandon their hives. They might come and pollinate, but they won't go tell other bees because they're confused. So that's my personal concern. Back to the water, we're being told that it's a closed loop system, but then when I read the wording, it says they're gonna try. They're gonna use reclaimed water. What is missing to me is the verbiage only. Why is it they're gonna try to use it, or maybe they'll use it? It's very terrifying, the future for us, for our kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Song. Eugene Turner Jr. And then next we'll have Ms. Karen Pritchard. Name and address for the record, sir.
Eugene Turner Jr., 105 South Brevard Avenue, Arcadia. 863-993-5100. Thank y'all for this get together today. I came to speak on one thing only, and that was y'all are supposed to vote on a moratorium today? Is that right or wrong?
Yes, sir. It is going to be an agenda item.
When I read that, it made me happy. But then I said, no, we got to change 1 or 2 words. We don't need a moratorium for 1 year. We need it permanently. We don't need this stuff here. The first speaker that got up here today, if he didn't strike a nerve with you fellas, y'all ain't got any feelings at all. Because what he said was the absolute truth. It can affect your children, your wife, yourself, your mother, your father, whatever. But yet, we want to give it all away. It sort of reminds me of these sanctuary cities up northeast in California. You know, what I don't understand about those things are the politicians did it without even the public's input. That's how we feel right now with y'all. This is not just your county as commissioners, it's our county. So, y'all need to listen to us just a little bit. Please, do this thing permanently. Thank you.
Ms. Karen Pritchard. Everybody, thank you very much for your support. Attention. Name and address for the record, please.
I put mine on the very bottom so I wouldn't get caught up here, but okay. Karen Pritchard, 2692 Northeast Highway 70, which is Arcadia Village. I would ask toward you, and I won't look behind me, if the ones that are here from Arcadia Village would raise their hand. You can see how many are here, as well as Toby's. So if there's anybody here, they raise their hand on that. I've been back to the proposed data center on Rowan, which I was here at the meeting in March when it was changed from agriculture to industrial for the 34 acres. We were already not happy about that, but we understood from a business point, if I were a businessman, that's the perfect location. I mean, part of it's already there and established. But my question to you would be, when you approved that in March, were you aware of the expansion plans the whole way up to 70 for over 1,000 acres? To any of you, were you aware of that?
We can't answer.
Oh, you
It's a
can't
public
answer.
comment.
Okay, I'm
Yes,
sorry,
sir.
I apologize,
Sorry.
okay, all right. Some people have already answered it, but okay. So, that of course is a big concern. We love our cow pasture off of the other side toward Toby's. With the proposed expansion, they would be up next to our homes. And I've actually had someone on Facebook tell me that if I didn't like it, I had plenty of time to move. Well, I'm interested in who's gonna buy my house. Okay? So if water is not an issue, if everything is above board and they're telling the truth, then I don't think we all have a problem with that. But we're not seeing that what they are saying and what they plan to do are the same thing. And that's our concern. The same thing with the power. They have their power grid. I've ridden back there. Most of us have gone past it. We know where the power lines are coming in and so forth. That's fine. But we don't know later what FPL is going to do to offset some of it. So we have questions about that. I'm a light sleeper. So noise and light are a big issue for me. Even the AI definition online for 55 decibels, which was suggested at the March meeting, says that it's equal to a normal conversation. Perhaps if one of you and I were talking in a normal tone of voice, but it's going 24/7, so it becomes a hum. And my husband says I talk loud, so we don't know how loud that is. But at 55 decibels, the AI definition says constant exposure can affect your concentration and your sleep patterns. Okay, sleep patterns, that would be me. Concentration, our kids at the high school, it's like 1.5 miles from there. If the new expansion goes in, that part's gonna be even closer to the high school. So I would love for you to all please take that into consideration. As I said, I live at Arcadia Village. Many people have been there. If you just ride by going to Walmart, you just see the entrance. it runs the whole way back to Rowan, and some people cut through going to the rodeo, going to high school, going home, whatever. We have several ponds on the property. We have wildlife. I have deer running through my backyard. We have all types of animals. We have eagles in the trees. There is a pond on our northeast corner, which would be toward the Rowan facility over there. There's a pond there. Every evening the trees are full of birds. They're not gonna stay there with that noise and that light 24/7. And not too many people have mentioned, but also another concern are the wetlands that are already on the property. If anyone pulls up, and you can just do it on public record or just Google it, the original facility on Rowan, when it was for sale back in 2023, all the great things that advertised that it had. Wells on property already. Have they promised us they're not gonna use them, or are they gonna dig deeper? Diesel generators, are they gonna be used to do the natural gas? I'm not in that area that I understand that, so I don't know what they're gonna use. But there are a lot of things that are on that property that we don't know how it's gonna be used, and that's our big concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Savannah Dewey. Savannah Dewey. Then next up is gonna be, Asha Stoniker after her. Miss Savannah. All right, it's Miss Asha Stoniker. Name and address for the record, please, ma'am.
My name is Asha Stallmaker. I live at 3658 Southeast Brown. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm asking the board, I have a cold, so sorry for nasal. I'm asking the board for a permanent moratorium on the current approvals and to stop approving additional phases for this project until the public receives full transparency and the county can demonstrate that these expansions are truly consistent with the comprehensive plan. The project originally presented to the county was 34-acre development of a former power plant site. Today we are discussing a project that has been publicly promoted as one of the largest data center developments on earth. Those are not the same project. The former power plant site already had industrial infrastructure, transmission access, and natural gas infrastructure. That appears to be the basis upon which the consistency with the comprehensive plan was established. But now that the project extends far beyond the former power plant site and into hundreds of acres of agricultural land, residents deserve to know why the rationale used for the former industrial site should apply to agricultural land that has never had these characteristics. I'm also deeply concerned about the continued claim that massive on-site power generation is merely ancillary to a data center. We're not talking about backup generators, we're talking about expansion strategy measured in hundreds of megawatts and ultimately gigawatts. If a project requires industrial scale power generation to function, residents have every right to question whether the power generation is truly incidental or whether it has become a primary use itself. Water is another major concern. The company has stated that it intends to use reclaimed water collected from the campus and groundwater as the final backstop. Yet when questioned directly, company owner John Brown said, and I quote, we were going to go reclaim water from the city, water we could collect from the campus, and lastly, as our final backstop, we will be using groundwater. Residents should not be asked to accept unknown water impacts based on future promises, and that is a recurring theme here. Future utility power, future reclaimed water, future studies, future mitigation, future promises. But the decisions that are being made today are permanent. Across the country, communities have approved projects based on assurances that natural gas generation would be temporary, only to find that those facilities operating on gas several years later. DeSoto County should learn from these mistakes instead of repeating them. This county deserves facts and not assumptions. And until these facts exist, I do not believe additional approvals should be able to move forward. I'd also like to note that I only live a half an acre from the property, and I know that my well will be affected along with my children and my livestock. So this is a personal issue to me. I hope you guys take this into consideration. Thank you.
Mr. Dean Davidson, and then Mr. Gary Gaskins will be on deck. Dean Davidson. Mr. Jerry Gaskins. Name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Jerry Gaskins, 63 Southeast County Road 760 here in Arcadia. I think we all know the situation with water. It is life, like people have already said. I want to talk a little bit on a couple of more problems here, what we're looking at. With the growing adoption of large language models such as OpenAI's ChatGPT, the enormous environmental footprint of artificial intelligence is increasingly in the news. This cost is often discussed in terms of electricity consumed, carbon released into the atmosphere, and water needed to operate massive data centers. But there's a hidden cost of AI that needs to be considered. The toll on public health associated with the resulting increase in air pollution, along with problems from noise and artificial lighting. A new study by Caltech and UC Riverside scientists say that air pollution from the centers is expected to result in as many as 1,300 premature deaths per year by 2030 in the United States. Total public health costs from cancer, asthma, and other diseases, as well as from missed work and school days, are approaching an estimated $20 billion per year. Shaylee Wren, a UCR associate professor of electrical and computer engineering, found that air pollution stemming from AI disproportionately affects certain low-income communities, partly because of their proximity to power plants and backup generators at the data center or data processing centers. Additionally, the drifting of the pollution across county and state lines creates health impacts on communities far and wide. So it's not just here, it affects. As tech companies race to provide AI services that are reshaping how we work and play, the resulting air pollution in the form of lung-penetrating fine particles, those smaller than 2.5 micrometers, and other federally regulated pollutants, such as nitrogen oxides, is expected to steeply increase. The public health burden is expected to be double that of the U.S. steelmaking industry by 2030, when it could rival that of all the cars, buses, and trucks in California, the study projects. Data centers are being built faster than grid connections and capacity can accommodate. As utilities warn of multi-year delays, some facilities generate their own power with huge gas generators. Many others don't rely exclusively on their own power source, but they have backup diesel generators that are used as needed and tested regularly. Either way, the generators spew noxious chemicals into the air. These include fine particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and volatile organic compounds, a smoggy stew linked to lung cancer, respiratory ailments, and higher risks of cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and early death. Some of the problems that can come from noise too, and I'm just touching on these just a little bit. Continuous operation of cooling systems and generators produce persistent noise exposure near data centers, creating a direct environmental stressor. Short-term effects include sleep disturbance and annoyance, while long-term exposure is associated with cardiovascular, cognitive, and mental health impacts. The health impacts of noise pollution include long-term risks such as heart disease, permanent hearing loss, and tinnitus, chronic effects such as hypertension and endocrine disruption, and acute effects like decreased sleep quality and temporary hearing changes. Noise pollution has also been linked with an increase in mental health concerns, such as stress-related disorders and increased annoyance, particularly in sensitive individuals. The noise also affects our animals and wildlife. High frequency, which we hear, is detrimental to all kinds of animals, and is the hum created by thousands of individual server fans and high-pitched air chillers. Low frequency noise, which can travel up to 2 miles, interferes with animal communication, breeding, and navigation. It can severely impact local ecosystems and disrupt natural behavior patterns in wildlife and local pollinator populations such as bee colonies. The primary ways these massive facilities impact local wildlife include habitat destruction and fragmentation by clearing of forests, wetlands, and open spaces. The noise pollution turns the surrounding area into sensory danger zones that can interfere with breeding cycles, sleep patterns, and predator-prey dynamics. And artificial light pollution from the center disrupts the circadian rhythms of migratory birds, butterflies, and nocturnal mammals. This all contributes to a damaged ecosystem. The only ones that benefit from this AI data center is the company and the investors. We have a large tax base, but that won't offset the cost to our quality of life. We're losing everything that we have been. One more quick thing. Before any land is changed with zoning, we should know what that plan is, what equipment is being used, total water usage, and total population or pollution that will be released into our county. Not after zoning, before. And by saying we, I mean you, the commissioners, and us, the citizens. We should know. We are the ones affected by this company, and it's bid for our lives. That should be we to determine that, and not them. Thank you.
Nancy Anderson. Miss Nancy Anderson, and then up next will be Reverend Nathan Hedrick. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, I'm Nancy Anderson, 4810 Northwest Highway 72, DeSoto County. I've lived here for 26 years. I'm not a native. I got here as quick as I could. And I can't expand on whatever everybody has said. I'm not a scientist, but we are all concerned about what's going to happen to our county. And we hope that you guys will take into consideration the effect on grandchildren, the great-grands, all of the people that we care about, our farming people. I guess I don't really have anything else to say, except that we're old and we probably won't live to see the detrimental effects, but we'll know that we did the best we could to stop it. So please take this into consideration, a moratorium, not for a year, forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Nathan Hedrick. Nathan Hedrick, and on deck will be Martin Hyde. Name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nathan Hedrick, 1423 Northeast Oak Street, here in Arcadia. Mr. Chairman, I am a pastor, but I'm just representing myself today. I want to make that clear. I'm not here to rehash the things that have been said. If we all try to rehash everything that's been said, we'll be here until church time Sunday, so I'm not trying to do that. I'm also not trying to lecture you guys or anything like that. You are all smart individuals, and I know that you're between a rock and a hard place. But commissioners, in speaking to as many people as I've spoken to over the last several months, I can't find anybody that wants this. I speak to hundreds of people every week. I can't find anybody that wants this. We are a representative republic. That means that you guys represent us, and we don't want this. I've met with the DCPI or DCIP group. I had a meeting with them and some of the folks that are with them, and I listened to them and heard everything that they had to say. But at the end of the day, they said they want to be good neighbors. And yet, we've gone from a 30 or so acre plot to over 1,000. That doesn't sound like good neighbors. We've gone from being further away from the high school and Mosaic Arena and houses and town to moving closer to the new high school, to the arena, to houses and to town. As hearing our complaints were some of that, that's not being a good neighbor. Being a good neighbor says, okay, you don't want me to play my music until 10 o'clock at night. How about I turn it down a little bit? How about I try to keep myself away from doing things that's just going to annoy you? And I have a whole lot of people behind me and a whole lot of people in this town that have gone from being just a little perturbed to now we're annoyed. We're borderline mad. And I know that the county commission is between a rock and a hard place. I get that with the thoughts that the budget is going to be impacted from a tax decrease, or however we want to word that, with the property taxes. I get that you guys are between a rock and a hard place, and I get that the bird in the hand of industry being here now, willing to come in and $1, $2, $3 million, whatever that's going to be, comes back in. The people in this county understand that we may have a hit to the budget, but we're not willing to sell off DeSoto County for $1 million or $2 million or whatever. And if the folks say that, you know, we understand the other side of this, we understand that it may not be fire trucks and we may not be able to have the best roads, we're willing to take that for a little while. We don't want this data center. Mr. Chairman, I would just simply point out that informed decisions is what everybody has to make, and we don't have enough information really to make an informed decision. This seems like something that's being pushed on us, and I don't know about you guys, but when I've been pushed into purchasing things, I've made really bad decisions. That's how I ended up with a timeshare in Las Vegas. I got pushed into something. It was a rush. Y'all are being rushed. If they want to be good neighbors, stick with the 30 acres. If they want to be good neighbors, let's see how that goes. But we don't want this. We don't want this at all. And so, commissioners, I would just thank you for having this. Now, I would go on the record real quick. I have a church building that will seat 250. If most people know how to behave in church. If you want to have a public forum, let DCIP or DCPI and you find commissioners come out and hold a meeting. You can hold it at the church. These people behind me want answers. Give it to them.
Mark, hi.
My name's Martin Hyde. I live at 6940H Shotgun Drive, if you don't mind, in Sarasota. You know, thalidomide was a miracle drug for morning sickness, which subsequently caused birth defects. Asbestos, nobody knew, would cause mesothelioma. Lead in paint affecting cognition, nobody knew. Even at the end of the 19th century, cigarettes being used as treatment for TB in the first sanatoriums, all were thought, honestly, to be good things at first. In a different light, Netscape Navigator was once the top internet search engine. Blockbuster had 4,500 stores 20 years ago, now they've got one. Phone landlines is another good example of changing habits, which nobody could have predicted. Fax machines, Betamax video recorders, all hot products and companies, all are largely gone. Napster, AOL, BlackBerry phones, MySpace, Segways, and TiVo, all technology companies that were going to dominate the future, all gone from the public domain. The clear point here is that AI is hot right now, but it's early. There'll be winners and there'll be losers. By way of example, the S&P Tech Index fell by over 3% today alone due to concerns on AI companies' debt-fueled spending on infrastructure. We can't risk our environmental and economic security on unpredictable, unproven technologies which might cause more harm than good. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Haste makes waste. Measure twice, cut once. All good maxims to consider when one is considering long-term and potentially irreversible environmental and economic consequences. The gold rush left a lot of ghost towns in this country when it ended. Almost exactly 100 years ago, the Florida land rush ended abruptly in Arcadia. The Great Depression of 1929 actually happened here 4 years before, fueled by an unsustainable, irrational exuberance. History repeats itself, but it doesn't have to. All that glistens is not gold. That's from Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, where suitors were faced with caskets of lead, silver, and gold as to which was most valuable. Remember the dot-com collapse of 2000 and look very, very carefully before you leave.
Thank you. Miss Lisa Detweiler. Lisa Detweiler. And after her will be Miss Tracy Lipton.
I can't believe Tracy Lipton came here.
Name and address for the record. Good afternoon.
Lisa Detweiler,
Someone say the same.
1402 Northeast Manley Road, Arcadia, Florida. How many of you are still for this data center, after hearing all these awesome speeches? Could I have a show of hands?
She's not even.
Well, I say amen to all who have shared against it. I stand before you all out of love for my family and God's creation. In God we trust is what sets up there. Hold up. How often, okay, wait here. With your prayer before the meeting leads me to believe you believe in God. How often do we misrepresent him? We profess his name and then act the opposite of him. I will be the first to admit I do at times as well. But Jesus never sold us or would vote to destroy his beautiful country that he created. So don't misrepresent my Jesus. I'm so sick of people proclaiming Jesus' love and using it for their gain in a wrong way. Some of you are sitting there so smugly with your pockets all lined out, overflowing with the green stuff, not giving a hoot about others. God will not be mocked.
Amen.
Miss Tracy Lipton. Tracy Lipton.
That's crazy.
After them will be Mr. Ed Johnson after her.
Tracy.
Name and address for the record, please.
Tracy Lipton, DeSoto County. I did this at the last minute, so I'm not super prepared, but it didn't take very long to go down a rabbit hole very quickly upon looking into this. I've read some about it, but there's a really easy rabbit hole to get into. I feel like it's the proverbial, I'm sucking on soggy straws to help with the pollution in sea turtles, while our government is doing things on such a large scale to destroy our environment and wildlife that it really puts those soggy straws into perspective when you dig even just a little bit. I began preparing for what I was going to say here by Googling pictures of the disgusting brown water that is becoming an almost immediate side effect of these data centers. But then I went down the rabbit hole of this particular proposal in Arcadia. And the disgusting brown water suddenly seemed like soggy straws. And how bad what I read must it be to feel that way. So what's been approved apparently for phase 1 of this project clears and utilizes 34 acres. But the potential expansion that they want to do, and this is in writing, and I'm sure y'all know this, developers and county filings indicate ambitions to scale into a massive multi-phase hyperscale project. The full build-out could clear and develop between 800 and 1,315 acres. So from 34 to 1,315, this won't stop with this building, and it will be detrimental just as it will be initially. The thermal and invisible pollution. In fact, on the way here, I wish I could show you a picture. I'll try to get it to you. There was a fire that we took a picture of, huge smoke billowing, maybe 10 minutes up the road in DeSoto County. And that's going to take water. Where is all this water going to come from? So this company that has this proposal is speaking about wells that are backup for them that could use 100,000 gallons a day, but they're going to be using over 1 million gallons a day. So what's 100,000 gallons going to back up when they're using 1 million to 3 million a day? Sorry, it was 1 to 3. This is detrimental to wildlife. This is detrimental to the environment, to the waters, and, and at the end of the day, we are, no matter what side of the road we are on, no matter what side of politics we are on, we are all sick of this. And I hope that everybody, including myself, remembers all of this and who goes what way and puts the environment over party, puts people over party, because we are at that fork in the road. And this data center will maybe be the first, but it would not be the last. And if you care anything about your community, take a look at what happens in North Carolina with the pig farms that are spraying. And the whole community that has at least asthma, and they're all dying of cancer and can't sit outside their front porches. Do you want to do that to this country, to this Arcadia country, to this county, to these people? So choose wisely.
Mr. Ed Johnson.
Good job, Tracy.
And after Mr. Johnson's Miss Carrie Shaver. Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. I want to say I appreciate the good pastor's remarks. I was at a meeting the other day and he asked me to do something religious, so I took up an offering. So, my name is Ed Johnson. I reside at 6077 Southwest County Road 760 here in Arcadia. On May the 26th of this year, I ask you to authorize your county attorney, your county administrator, and your county attorney to prepare a minimum 1-year emergency moratorium halting all data centers until you can create and adopt the criteria and regulations necessary to safely regulate them. As usual, you did nothing. Again, on June the 9th, 2026, I ask you to authorize your county administrator and county attorney to prepare a minimum 1-year emergency moratorium halting all data storage centers. Again, as usual, you did nothing. Now today, June the 23rd, almost a month later, you may decide to take some action today because somebody's pants are on fire. I'm not taking a position for or against data storage centers, but I know that you do not have the individual expertise or technical ability as commissioner or staff, or have the necessary adopted regulations in place to thoroughly examine and vet these projects. You need experts in many scientific and engineering fields and months of time to review each project to avoid another disaster, which may already be upon us. After reading about the myriad of problems surrounding these facilities, I'm asking that an emergency moratorium be enacted today by a motion from any board member to immediately cease the acceptance of any further applications, and that the formal moratorium ordinance extend for no less than 2 years from the date of adoption. If somebody sues, let them sue, we'll defend ourselves. Again, I ask you to take emergency action today to cease accepting all data center applications as of today, and to authorize your county administrator and county attorney to prepare a minimum 2-year emergency moratorium covering all data center applications until such time as you can create and adopt the technical criteria and regulations and secure the competent experts necessary to safely review and regulate them. If you fail to act immediately, the level of public confidence in your leadership, which is already in the toilet, will be summarily flushed down the drain. Based on your past lack of performance, I hope you do not stumble and fall around today and eventually do nothing. As the former World War II 4-star General George S. Patton said, lead, follow, or get out of the way. But I think his language was a little more blunt than mine. You gotta do something. You can't sit here and do nothing. We're already in trouble. And I don't know, I was down with my travel agent for a while, and I made a few trips to a little foreign country over there, and I'm gonna tell you something. One of the most serious mistakes you can make was not listen. I don't care what kind of training you had, or what kind of weapon you had, if you didn't listen, there's a real good chance you were gonna be dead, or the guy next to you was gonna be dead. You need to listen to the people out here that are saying no. Because I like the pastor, I haven't found anybody that wants it. So, anyway, thank you.
Carrie Shaver. Ms. Teresa Collins Hill will be next. Name and address for the record.
Carrie Shaver, 1441 Northeast Manley Road, Arcadia. I'm nervous. I would like to start by saying, please, people chose to live in this area for the clean air, open space, and the rural lifestyle. Before approving a large industrial facility, residents deserve independent verification of the long-term impacts on air quality, our property values, and the quality of life. I apologize in advance if some of this has already been addressed, but I would first like to address what the plan is for emergency situations. I don't know if this has been brought up, but how will residents be notified? Hurricanes and pollution being spilled on the ground or whatever we may be faced with. Will there be a continuous air quality monitoring by independent inspectors that will those results be given to us as the public residents? Water use. To my knowledge, they haven't provided the specific amount of water that they will be using. I've only heard some water. If they're using a closed loop system, that doesn't prevent them from using water, and a lot of it. I would like them to give us a specific amount of water that they will be using, and even then, who will hold them accountable? Who will be checking the amount of water they're using each day? It's proposed very close to my home, and even closer to the high school where 3 of my children will be attending. We're being told that they will produce their own energy. I'm very concerned about the generator emissions. If they're producing their own power, that's a power plant. Are they being held to power plant standards? Before any approval, I request that the county require a full independent air quality study and dispersion modeling showing the impact on the nearby homes, schools, farms, and wells. We need to know the number of generators and the effect of their hazardous air pollutants. I live on a 26-acre farm. What impact will continuous waste heat have on crops, livestock, and local ecosystems during Florida's summers when we're already dealing with extreme heat? This facility will convert massive amounts of electricity to waste heat. Has the county required an independent study showing how much heat will be released? How will it affect local temperatures, agriculture, livestock, wildlife, and neighboring properties? And what the expected temperature increases will be at various distances from the site. Any computer puts off heat, if you can imagine this size. Light pollution. These facilities have lights shining all night long. Has there been any studies to show what effect that they will have on our beautiful night sky? Will we still be able to see the stars around? My other question I would like for you to consider is, if they violate the terms of what we as a county hold them to, will they just pay a fine and do as they please anyway? With their money, I'm sure they can afford just to pay the fines and go on with it. This site might be perfect for them, but it's not for us. And with their money, they can afford to find a way to put it somewhere else, somewhere not next door to people's homes and farms. Has there been a study on property values of homes and farms near these facilities? If our property values go down, then that's less taxes for our county there. I'm not against growth at all, but this kind of growth is not, in my opinion, something that will be beneficial long-term to our community. I understand your concerns, what might be a financial shortage for our county in the future, but please don't jump to the quickest fix. We don't even want the 30-acre facility they are proposing, let alone the world's largest that is being considered in future phases. We can work together to come up with something else. All counties in Florida will have the same shortage if property tax bill is passed, but they aren't all putting in data centers. We have a great county, and I just really respectfully request that you work with us to keep it that way. Thank you.
Teresa Collins Hill. After is Ms. Kelly Ball. Name that.
Teresa Collins Hill, 1423 Southeast County Road 768. Mr. Brown said this will be a totally innovative design, never built before, and that we should trust him. Those who know me know that I ask a lot of questions. So should you. DeSoto provides the public and commission 4 days, business days to review, read, and research agenda items prior to vote. 4. Part of Thursday, Friday, Monday, and then vote on Tuesday. A moratorium will give you a chance to have these and other questions answered before giving carte blanche to any developer. How many megawatts? 800, 1200, more? How much water? It depends on climate and cooling technologies. What will the indirect water footprint be? Generating electricity can indirectly consume millions of additional gallons at water at power plants. If the 35,000 square one uses 100,000 gallons per day per Mr. Brown, what will the 8.3 million one use? What is their water usage effectiveness ratio? What is the heat generation? Gas turbines convert only a portion of their fuel energy into electricity, with the remainder dissipating as massive exhaust heat, creating heat islands. Exhaust gases typically reach 900 to 1200 degrees ambient thermal output. How will this affect surrounding areas? The hot, humid climate of DeSoto County creates a compounding loop that worsens this thermal dome effect. How many turbines? Estimated 50. This will raise the immediate ambient air temperature by 5 to 15 degrees. How many backup generators? Because Arcadia's reclaimed wastewater will be used to cool the combined cycle systems, the facility operates as a massive water evaporator. What is the weather impact summary? Will they utilize the Brayton cycle and the Rankine cycle? How does this affect the thermal pollution? Are you aware that this combined cycle will require 15 to 30 million gallons of water per day? The emissions from this Title V major source of air pollution sicken the elderly and children. What is the estimated annual pollution inventory? Air pollution models for large continuous generation project predict millions of dollars in regional health, respiratory damages, and fine particulate plumes shift towards school grounds and residents. Who's paying for that? The low frequency 24/7 industrial noise pollution triggers unique physiological, psychological, and behavioral stress for humans, livestock, and pets up to 2 miles away. How will this affect our health services? A constant unyielding volume of 55 decibels, which the EPA flags as a threshold for chronic public health risk, behaves much more destructively than an intermittent down at the same level. Studies have shown that this is akin to psychological warfare, aka torture. Are you okay with this? Will there be decibel restrictions in place for both A-rated noise, the human ear filter, and C-rated noise, the flat bass filter? What are the four reasons why C-rated noise travels further in Southwest Florida? What research have you done on the aquifer depletion, water supply and wastewater risk, runoff and contamination, ongoing water requirements for mechanical maintenance, blowdown, how often? How does that reclaimed water alter the frequency? What's the South Florida water factor? Major chemicals used in the data center closed loops, corrosion inhibitors, PFAS. How are these chemicals removed from the used water? Pollution including noise, light, vibration, heat, chemicals, smog, soot, etc. This center is even getting the attention of Aaron Brockovich. Do you know the types of threats it faces as a strategic military target and high-value electronic warfare target? Because of these increased risk, a project of this scale requires strict security protocols. This facility shifts DeSoto from a low-priority rural county into a critical asset class known as critical infrastructure. It will require military-grade security and homeland security monitoring. They must also secure the natural gas pipeline infrastructure and use physical hardening techniques. These questions have not been answered. Who has signed an NDA? Have any of you? The development director, economic director, other county employees? What incentives are the county offering? Tax abatements. If you're gonna pimp us out, at least get the full amount for us. Mo brings plenty of Yellowstone fame, said it more eloquently than I can ever hope to do so. If these data centers are so safe, why are the people who are investing in them trying to put them as far away from themselves? I love clean air and I love water. The water that is on the planet right now is the only water we're ever going to have. It's not a resource, it's a source of life. Have you heard of a sacrificial zone? It's an area usually made for folks who are below the poverty level that is sacrificed for the greater good. Apparently, you believe the 35,000 residents of DeSoto who elected you should be sacrificed. Sacrifice our clean water, the health of our children, our wildlife, our pets. But who makes up the greater good? Hitler was a proponent of sacrificing others for his vision of the greater good. It was called a Holocaust. A data center will be a generational decision. How can you make an informed decision without all the information? That takes time. Let's join the other communities who have decided to take that one more. The oath you swore when you took office was to us, we the people. We have heard at least one of you say things like, I know what the community wants, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this thing approved. How very Bill Gates of you. You are not our ruler.
Ms. Kelly Bowman.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Kelly Bauman. My address is 1687 East Minnesota Beach Road. You wonder why I'm here? Well, I use the same water as you do. and we're downstream. Peace River's drying up. I'm sure you've heard of Welland Park. Therefore, wells are going dry. John Lazuski's gonna run a pipe from Peace River Water Authority to Welland Park. You know, all these developers that come with these great ideas, you know how many attorneys they have? I can't count. I was on a phone call as a citizen and there were 6, as I represented myself. Who's representing these people? Right, all the developers, they've got more money than, as they say. Who do these people have? They have you. It's very sad that we're in this day and age that the people are coming out in droves. I grew up in Orlando in Winter Haven when just orange groves. There's not much left. And you wonder why the data center out here, I think it's in Pat Neal's backyard, or in Welland Park. Y'all should be offended. Seriously. Why there was ever a consideration to begin with is beyond me. Is this your legacy? Don't live life with regrets. You cannot turn this back. There's not enough data centers in our area that you can take a pulse and figure out what the impacts are going to be to your children and your grandchildren. There's always a clause in contracts and agreements, several. Lots of them have to do with safety or being misinformed or not having enough information. All of you have that, and all of you can make the motions that need to be made. I was a VFD specialist. That's a variable frequency drive specialist. And you know what's going on? All of the motors in this plant, variable frequency drives. Do you know what a sine wave is? It's a nice, clean AC sine wave. You know what happens when they put VFDs on the motors? You get spikes like this. And you know what that impacts? You, the animals, the bees, your children. Do you have mitral valve prolapse? Do you have a heart murmur? All these things have intense impacts. You might want to ask the owners of these data centers how close they live, right? They don't live near them. The EMFs that are put off, you do not have enough information. I can promise you, I worked for ABB and I worked for Allen Bradley. It's not good stuff. You have the opportunity to make the motions for this not to be a temporary moratorium. I don't even know how you can let that roll off your lips. But this is a disaster. And as I said, we're downstream, right? You guys approve this? It's the next county and the next county and the next town. I just urge you to really listen to the people and to do the right thing. There's a Bible verse that he who as much is given, much is required, right? And you make these decisions, you can't go back. And don't think that just because you don't have all the information, you're not accountable. You are.
Miss Gina Labruno. Gina Labruno. After her will be Miss Deborah Ladrini. Name and address for the record, please.
My name's Gina Labruno. My address is 3259 Northwest Highway 70. How are you guys today? I'm sure you're hearing a lot of information. I came to DeSoto County 8 years ago, leaving Southwest Hillsborough County. Then I moved to Bradenton, Sarasota area, and water damages and disasters continue to occur. I haven't been sick since I've lived in DeSoto County. My skin is well. The air I breathe is healthy. It is absolutely gorgeous in this county. It's cattle country. It's the one part of Florida that's left that looks like this. It breaks my heart to hear that you want to put an AI data center. You gave them 34 acres. Now they want 1,300 acres. This county is 639 miles. 637 miles of which is land and 2.4 of which is water. 1,300 acres is 2 miles. So you've got 2 miles of water and you're gonna put in a data center that large, and they're telling you that they're gonna use wastewater in a closed loop system. That's not true. It's not possible. You're talking about machines. They're gonna corrode. They're going to get sick. We're gonna have storms. They're going to pull from this aquifer. The Peace River's already drying up. You've got Manatee County getting sucked dry, Polk County already sucked dry, Hillsboro's sucked dry. Here you are, right before Charlotte County. Hold the line. Don't put industry here. Keep your county beautiful and safe. Save Florida. Be the ones that actually do the right thing. And listen to the citizens who have built lives, generations here. This is their livelihood. What, there's gonna be 9 people who can work in these data centers? 10 people? What kind of jobs does that bring to this county? And then 1.9 miles from the high school, when the wind blows and you're using bioaerosols, that's from wastewater, and that's going to blow towards that high school, which is going to affect people's children, our children who have a right to have a future, a healthy future, not a future where they're sick and Big Pharma is feeding them and keeping Band-Aids on them. They have a right to be healthy and free in a country that is clean and safe. Do things differently. Don't listen to these people that want, $30 million you're gonna make in a tax gain? I guarantee you, the type of health issues and land issues and animal deaths that you're gonna have is going to supersede that greatly. Money is not worth losing what you have. So I just really hope and pray that you guys listen to everybody and take pride in what you have here. And don't take pride in getting money or doing something different. Let them do their data centers in the counties that are already screwed up and ruined, that are dry, that you can't even grow grass. You have to have Kogan grass because the soil won't grab. And none of your animals want to eat that if you've got cattle and you've got horses. Don't bring it here. It'll be the worst thing you can do. And I really hope you're listening to everybody. And I love your county, and that's why I'm living here still. And I love being healthy. So, you guys have a good day.
Thank you. Deborah Ladrini?
Good job. Yes.
Deborah Ladrini? Mr. Bill Martin's up next. Name and address for the record, please.
Deborah Ladrini, 2577 Southeast Rice Road. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts. And I want to take a moment to thank Mr. Ross for having the integrity and more fortitude to stand up for the people and submit the moratorium. Thank you, sir. Now you've heard from so many people about the pollution issues, and I'm really not going to go over much of that. It's well known, and it's easily researchable. And people can back and say, well, you know, this study wasn't done this way or it wasn't done that way. Usually those are the people that want these data centers in. It can make a lot of money off the backs of the little people. We've been thrown into a frenetic transition that's been prioritized over small community safety and welfare. And yeah, AI data is here. It's going to stay. We understand that. But how we go about bringing it into the country, I mean, I hope they put it in the Arctic, trying to just put it under the sea, but it really should not be in communities, near residences, near schools, near churches. So, I have to take my time here if I get things, but I'm here to talk about something else. I want to provide some context to this transition period. And what I'm about to say has nothing to do with politics. I want to clarify, but it is going to get into the struggle between the states and the feds. So I like to call this right now, this transition period, no man's land. The governor had the foresight when signing into law SB 484. It gave you the authority to prevent harm to your community, and you are our last line of defense. The guardrails have been dismantled, and the usual protection and standards have been removed. The communities of these initial build-outs are being called sacrifice areas, and look behind me, those are the sacrificial lambs. We have not been drafted into a national race. And we have been drafted into an AI war that we had no knowledge of, and nor did we consent. And if you think the EPA is going to enforce clean air standards, think again. And if you think Swift Mud, whatever they're called, is going to be able to enforce the water protection laws, think again. You cannot punt this to a different department, and let me explain why. I want to refer you to some excerpts in an executive order, December 11, 2025. It's called Ensuring a National Policy Framework for Artificial Intelligence. This is not political, okay? This is just the lay of the land right now. We're in a transition, period. What happens after the transition when Congress works is going to be a different story. But in this executive order, it says, we will act to ensure that there is minimally burdensome national standard, not 50 discordant state ones. Until such a national standard exists, this administration will take action to check the most excessive laws emerging from the states, and the Attorney General will establish an AI litigation task force whose sole responsibility will be to challenge the state's AI laws. So, you know, DeSantis chimed in, our governor, and he said that preempting state laws without enacting a sensible federal framework is an amnesty for big tech and a potential de facto bailout for AI. And if you look at this case that I'm going to refer you to, fast forward, to a lawsuit brought in Mississippi State against XAI. XAI is operating 57 unpermitted methane-burning gas turbines of the same design as the one proposed here. This one, these unpermitted, illegal, but they're legal now, the judge is still going to determine, but is defying the Clean Air Act. It's a Clean Air Act lawsuit. The DOJ intervened in the case, filing a motion to dismiss. Do you want to hear the rest of this? You have 2 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes, couple more.
All right. So the federal government argued that shutting down the power supply at the data center threatens the economy. And the second thing he argued was that the executive branch has primacy over citizen enforcers. There is nobody else right now. You guys are it. We have no recourse. It's like throwing us into the boxing ring with King Kong and no gloves. There is a congressional act going on right now. Congress is going to pass some rules, and they're going to take over the standardization of the laws, and they're going to determine the state's roles. But right now, do you want to get into a fight where there are no known the rules don't count anymore? That's why I'm saying we're in a transition period. So you don't really want to.
Ms. Ladrini?
I'm done. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, I'm
You
sorry.
understand
We've
the.
got a lot of people that want to
Yeah, you
speak.
understand the point though?
Yes.
We have no protections. Please
Bill
do
Martin.
the right thing.
Name and address for the record, please, sir. Ms. Christine Abbey's up next.
My name is Bill Martin. I reside at 3100 Southwest Martin Lane. And I always said I'd do anything for my grandkids, so I'm here reading a letter from one of my granddaughters. My name is Kalen, and I'm fifth generation Arcadian. My son is 6. My family work for this community every day. We consist of educators, builders, AC technicians, hairstylists. All of our professions rely on 2 things, homes and families. With this proposed data center, we risk our water supply, air quality, weather, home values, and overall quality of life in town we love. When those things are at risk, we lose families who move to other communities who don't want to stay and take that risk. And with that, my family will lose their professions. When people stop moving to our county and northern people stop coming down in the winter, my family can't build new homes and install AC units and later service them. They will pull their children from our schools when their children have to be within a half mile of these data centers. When that happens, they will cut back on teachers with lower class sizes. Speaking of cutting, decrease in population means my mom is cutting less hair. This trickle effect is much larger than anyone realizes and affects every aspect of our economy. I have been fortunate enough to buy a home and keep my roots in this county, and purchase a home is the single biggest investment I will make for myself and my family. We should be doing everything we can to protect people's investments, their homes and their home values. I believe that data centers will be popping up all around us and all over the country. If we play our cards right, we will be the few untouched small towns left that people will seek out and will find comfort in starting their lives here with us, and hopefully my son and the 7th generation of Arcadian can continue to dig roots deeper in DeSoto County. Thank you.
Christine Abbey? After her will be Miss Sarah Hollenhorst. Name and address for the record, please.
Christine Abbey, 5758 Hog Bay Road in Arcadia. Everywhere at Main Road, every main road that comes into DeSoto County has this beautiful statue. It says, "Welcome to DeSoto County." Really nice, by the way. I wonder what those cost. Welcome to DeSoto County. Prosperity, tranquility, and progress. Progress is important, but tranquility is before progress. That's why I moved here 25 years ago. I'm not a native, but I love this town. And it's the town I've lived in the longest in my entire life. These are the reasons I'm concerned. DeSoto County Code, Chapter 11, Article 5, prohibits excessive, unnecessary, or unusually loud noises that annoy, disturb, injure, or endanger comfort, repose, health, or safety of others. On-site gas-generated data centers increases constant noise much more than regular grid-powered data centers. Claims of acoustic engineering to reduce noise is much less effective, if at all, for reducing noise, particularly due to the low-frequency noise that the gas-powered centers produce. They have longer wavelengths or are harder to block. These sounds go right through barriers and buildings. The 24/7 noise exposure linked to sleep disturbance, anxiety, headaches, vertigo, nausea, heart problems, the list goes on. These aren't possible. These are the things that will happen to people that live within 2 miles, possibly further, from this data center. Air quality. Gas-powered on-site turbine data centers significantly degrade air quality in at least a 5-mile distance. And of course, that's 5 miles each way from whenever the center is. So the first 5 miles is Arcadia. The other 5 miles go in all the other directions. Direct combustion particularly affects air quality through fine particulates. There's 5 other problems and pollutions, but we'll just talk about this one because I have limited time. That is the most dangerous, but not the only health damaging effect. These particulates penetrate deep into lungs and the bloodstream, causing cardiovascular and respiratory problems. And especially vulnerable communities are the children, the elderly, and outdoor workers. Is there anyone here that doesn't fit that category? This is DeSoto County. Combustion contaminants also cause lower birth rates and certain cancers. Number 3, agricultural impact. There have already been reports of a 30% reduction in body condition and low to zero birth rates in livestock in people who live near AI data centers in Texas. Those are the only ones I could find so far. I'm sure there's more. Number 4, let's go to the budget. Oh, we need the money. In 2021, 2022, our budget was $68.7 million. Last year, our budget was $199.5 million. That's a 300% increase. Where's the money? I don't think we have a shortage of money problem. It's looking more like a lack of fiscally responsible and an inability to properly budget problem. I also looked up what our spending level is compared to other counties, and it says the level of spending is significant for our size. In other words, we spend way too much compared to counties our size. And just one last thing I want to mention, because no one else has mentioned, well, our British gentleman did. There are prominent investors, Ray Dalio, Michael Burry, who predicted the 2008 real estate crisis, are all raising the alarm that we're not about to approach a bubble, but we are in the late stages of an AI bubble right now. We've already built 5,000 data centers, or we're in process, and there's 10,000 more trying to be built right now. And what happens if we get halfway through building this and the whole thing collapses, and now we've just given over all of that, and now we've got a dead ghost town data center in our community, and we don't get that tax money anymore. All right, so please consider all these things, because I'm all for a permanent moratorium. We need to keep DeSoto County tranquil. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, just please try to keep it clapping to the memo. Like I said, we started off great, keep going, so we can hear what everybody's got to say.
I know.
Everybody's
But I get it, but I don't.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes. Sarah Hollenhorst, 9347 Southwest Raccoon Trail. And I also have a master's degree in environmental biology. I'd like to refer you back to consider the letter that I sent per the Environmental Confederation of Southwest Florida, representing a multitude of statewide environmental organizations, as to the problems related to typical data centers. This is not a typical center. Last time I spoke, during a break, I happened to walk by the applicants. One person was reassuring the other that once we get this permit, we can apply for expansion. Since it's been widely reported that this will become the largest center on earth. I don't think the scope and the repercussions from such a huge center, none have ever existed, as yet can be understood at this time. And more information needs to be researched. I'm also afraid that a center this large leaves us open for potential terrorism. I'm asking you to have a moratorium on the data centers until more is understood, or never. What we already understand as far as water usage, power draws, fire potential, PFAS, noise, light on this larger scale is enough to not continue. I don't think berms and natural planting will be enough to protect those around the area. And from a previous speaker, I'm thinking now about bees. Groves, blueberries, all depend on them. Please hold a moratorium and look for safer industries. Encourage more small business. Thank you.
Alexandria Reed. Alexandria Reed.
You guys have everything?
Name and address for the record.
Alexandria Reed, 4412 Northeast Highway 70, Arcadia, Florida. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Before you, you have some paperwork. Today, I come before you today as a resident concerned about the long-term impacts of the proposed data center development in DeSoto County's, on DeSoto County's water resources, infrastructure, public safety, and taxpayers. DeSoto County is part of the Southwest Florida Water Management District's Southern Water Use Caution Area. This designation already exists because groundwater withdrawals have contributed to aquifer declines, reduced river flows, and saltwater intrusion within our region. The purpose of the recovery strategy is to address and reverse these impacts while protecting future water supplies. With that understanding, I would like to ask what I believe is the most important question before this board. If DeSoto County is already located within a water use caution area established by SwiftMud because groundwater withdrawals have contributed to aquifer declines and saltwater intrusion, what evidence has been provided to you, the board, demonstrating that this project will not worsen those already existing conditions? The applicant has stated that groundwater would only be used as a last resort. What specifically constitutes a last resort? They've already told you that the 1.3 million gallon tank isn't going to be enough by stating that they're going to need our stormwater and potentially our groundwater. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Can the applicant provide a clear, measurable definition of the term last resort? Specifically, what events, operating conditions, system failures, weather conditions, water shortages, or other circumstances would trigger groundwater use? Who determines when groundwater use becomes necessary? Once that threshold is reached, what volume of groundwater could be withdrawn? And what is the maximum amount that could be withdrawn under any applicable permits? How much water is expected to be consumed, lost, or replaced during normal operations on a daily, monthly, and annual basis? How many cooling cycles will the water complete before a replacement is required? How much water is expected to be lost through evaporation, blowdown, maintenance activities, leaks, other operational processes? If this is described as a closed loop cooling system, what operational circumstances require access to groundwater? What safeguards are in place to prevent impacts to local groundwater resources during drought conditions or periods of increased regional water demand? Has an independent hydrogeologic study been conducted to evaluate the impacts on aquifer levels, private wells, the Peace River watershed, and regional saltwater intrusion risks? Will those studies be made publicly available? Has a fiscal impact analysis study been completed to determine the costs associated with emergency services, fire protection, law enforcement, road improvements, utility upgrades, and long-term infrastructure needs? Will the county be required to purchase specialized firefighting equipment, additional apparatuses, or provide specialized training for emergency responders specifically for this facility? We have previously seen the Walmart Distribution Center require infrastructure upgrades as emergency service investments. Has the county evaluated whether this project will require similar expenditures? If such upgrades are required, who will bear those costs, the developer or the taxpayers of DeSoto County? Has a site-specific emergency response plan been reviewed by our local first responders? Has the county evaluated whether this project proximity to the schools and other community facilities creates additional emergency planning requirements? Residents deserve transparency regarding water consumption, environmental impacts, infrastructure costs, and the long-term liabilities. The burden should not be on the citizens to prove harm after the fact. The burden should be on the applicant to provide clear, independent, verifiable evidence that this project will not negatively affect our water resources, our emergency services, our taxpayers, or future generations. The World Health Organization has safe drinking water as a basic human right. Please think that over. Unclean water kills over 500,000 people per year, according to the World Health Organization. Please consider this. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Gene? I'll mess this up. Urgibet? Gene Urgibet? Miss Carol Muller, you're on deck. Up next, Miss Carol.
My name's Gene Urgibek. I reside at 2692 Northeast Highway 70, which is Arcadia Village. I'm not gonna go through the act of how this is gonna affect me and my life and my wife or my community. And I appreciate all you kind people to come here. I support all of you, every one of you that's said something so far. My concern is, what about the 5,000 people that aren't here? Who's representing them? They don't have a clue I pray you think about this and you support this DeSoto. I fell in love with this county. I want to stay here. These people deserve the respect. They're so kind, they're warm-hearted, they're the most grateful, the most respectful people. You walk down this town and you feel it. That's in jeopardy. It's already started. It'll soon be gone. Thank you. I hope you do the right thing.
Ms. Carol Muller?
Good afternoon, Carol Mahler, 5578 Woodlawn Terrace, Arcadia. I want to extend my gratitude to Commissioner Gross for proposing this and putting it on the agenda. I want to recognize that it was very difficult to come to this point, and it is also difficult for you all to make a decision without having rules and regulations in place. And I hope that by enacting a moratorium of some sort, that you can come and get those rules and regulations that you need to make this very difficult decision. I know that this homestead exemption proposal that's on the ballot may cause our county some difficulties. And that the potential income from this project seems to be something that might help with that. But remember that the people of this county, we all pulled together when we had disasters. When we had Hurricane Charlie in 2004, when we had Hurricane Ian in 2022. And you can just think of this as Hurricane Homestead Exemption on the ballot. Remember, this is the Peace River Valley, not Silicon Valley. We want to protect our heritage. We want to protect our people. We want to protect everything that lives here, everything, the trees, the animals, the microbes, I always say. So please, put this moratorium in place and give yourself some time to come up with some rules and regulations and make the right choice. Thanks for listening.
Jennifer Kelly Arsenal?
Yes.
Debbie Stories up next. Name and address for Rick.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Kelly Arsenal. My family, I'm here on behalf of my family's ranch Diamond D, which is 5518 Northeast Highway 70. It's basically within a mile of this proposed data center. Our family has owned this property for almost 100 years. We are strongly opposed to the proposed data center due to the significant risk it poses to our agricultural operation, local water resources, wildlife, and the rural character and the way of life that has defined this community for generations. Like many ranching families in DeSoto County, we depend on reliable access to clean groundwater and surface water to sustain our cattle, maintain the health of our land, and support the natural ecosystems that exist around us. A large-scale data center has the potential to place significant demands on local water resources, and we are deeply concerned about what that can mean for neighboring agricultural operations, especially during periods of drought and water shortages like we've been recently experiencing. Our concerns go beyond water quantity. We are also concerned about water quality and the potential long-term impacts on the land, wetlands, and wildlife that make this area unique. Our property provides habitat for numerous native species, including eagles, other bird species, deer, and turkey, among others. Increased industrial development, traffic, lighting, noise, and infrastructure could disrupt those habitats and permanently alter and perhaps destroy the character of the surrounding landscape and our community. Any contamination, runoff, or disruption to local hydrology could affect livestock, native vegetation, and the ecosystems that support wildlife on and around our property. Healthy water resources are essential not only for ranching, but also for preserving the natural environment that has existed here for many generations. Another significant concern is noise pollution. Data centers operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and rely on large cooling systems, industrial fans, chillers, transformers, backup generators, and other mechanical equipment that can create a constant low frequency hum. Unlike occasional construction or traffic noise, this sound can persist day and night, affecting the quality of life for nearby residents. These impacts extend beyond people. Arcadia's rural character supports livestock, pets, native wildlife, and migratory birds, and depend on relatively quiet habitats. My apologies. Chronic noise can disrupt feeding, breeding, communication, and migration patterns. Livestock may experience increased stress responses, while wildlife may be displaced from areas that have historically occupied. DeSoto County has a long history rooted in agriculture, ranching, and responsible stewardship of the land, and therefore its heritage should be a priority. These industries have supported local families and contributed to our economy for many generations. We believe that any development that threatens that deserves careful scrutiny. The issue extends beyond my family's property. Other families live nearby and share many of the same concerns. People chose this community because of its rural character, agricultural heritage, and natural environment. A project of this scale has the potential to permanently alter that character. This is not simply a question of whether development should occur. It's a question of whether this particular development is appropriate for this location. Economic development is important, but it should not come at the expenses of the residents, farmers, ranchers, and natural resources that we have sustained DeSoto County for generations. We should not be asked to bear the risks while receiving few benefits. We're asking the Commission to consider the long-term consequences of this project, not just the short-term promises. Once our water resources are compromised or our rural landscape is transformed, those impacts cannot be easily reversed. The long-term economic and environmental value of productive agricultural land, clean water, and healthy ecosystems far outweighs the potential that might be promised by a large industrial development located near active ranching operations. For the sake of our ranches, our livestock, our water resources, our wildlife, and future generations of many other DeSoto County residents, we respectfully urge county officials and decision makers to deny approval of this proposed data center, or at the very least, require a thorough and transparent evaluation of its impact on local water resources, agriculture, wildlife, and neighboring property owners before any approvals are granted. On behalf of my family and others who call this area home, I ask you to protect our water, protect our agricultural community, protect our natural resources, and vote against this proposal. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Debbie Story, and Sam McLeod's on deck. Address for the record.
Good afternoon, my name is Debbie Story. I live at 1980 Southeast Rhode Island Street. Thank you, Commissioners, for having us today, giving us this opportunity to speak to you and share with you our opinions. I'm here today because my parents can't be here. Normally I don't speak in front of that many people, so I'm here for them. They live in Arcadia Village. I believe that I'm here today also because I care about my family, my community, and I believe Arcadia is worth protecting. I realize that you won't be able to answer my questions or concerns today, which is why I agree with the pastor here. We need to have a town hall meeting with all of the county commissioners and preferably Mr. John Brown so that all questions can be answered. We're not getting answers. That's what we want, is some answers. My concerns are regarding this data center, the lack of transparency with this proposed so-called economic pipeline, the attempt to bypass normal county review processes. I realize we're a poor county, but this is not the answer, Commissioners. I'm in agreement with Mr. Turner. We would be selling our soul to the devil. Why all the secret meetings around town? Community meetings canceled because outsiders wanted information as well. Can you prove that the constant industrial noise generated by this data center or turbines will not harm our community? That there will be no environmental damage to natural habitats that would harm our wildlife and ecosystems? That our water resources will not be sacrificed, period? That there will be zero costs referred to DeSoto County residents? That the potential effect on property values will not reduce because of the center? That DeSoto County roads can withstand the traffic, thousands of loads of dirt, cement, and many other products this bill will take. That there will be no pollution, greenhouse gases from this proposed data center. Can this be put on a ballot so that the people can vote for their community? I have the developers debated specific questions. These massive 8.4 square total feet centers do not belong in neighborhoods where schools are, historic communities, wildlife habitats, and country roads that we call home. My parents live in Arcadia Village, which is 1.8 miles, and my home is 2.8 miles away from this proposed center, and Toby's is even closer. The students at the new high school and the middle school do not need this in their backyard. That's my opinion. Other counties are watching what we do, DeSoto. We don't want to be guinea pigs or an experiment to see if we can live with this. Our quality of life, physical health, our house values, our mental health, water, my future, my children's future, and my children's children's future. They matter, don't they? We don't need just a moratorium. We need a permanent ban on the AI data center. If you vote this through, you can be sure that your children's children and their children will know who passed this and not just destroyed our land, but our home. If I had a vote today, it'd be a hard no. It's too much secrecy, too much unknown, and too much at stake. Please, commissioners, vote no on this data center. Thank you for your time.
I'm okay if you wave, pump your fist, break dance, I don't really care. Just please, let's keep it quiet. Let's get on out there, kind of hear about it. We just want to hear everybody speak.
You'll be alright, buddy.
Mr. McLeod.
They want you to be AI.
Hello,
Be quiet.
everyone. My name is James McLeod, but everybody knows me as Sam. I've done a lot of research on this. I've sit at home and read. I watched videos, just about everything I could find about it. Kind of leads me to say that it probably shouldn't be here. From what I understand, DeSantis created laws, the agriculture enclaves allowing fast, rapid installation of these data centers, or at least paving the way for it. And giving them the 34 acres over there by itself, which was already a power plant, and the things were there to run. That, that I can see maybe getting that through, but then to channel it and let it go across over to 70 beside these people's homes, it's almost criminal in my opinion. I don't think there's any chance of where it should go. I also believe that it's just a land grab. I think these guys that are developing this are going to flip it to somebody else that's going to build it. That may be part of the reason why we can't get direct answers on all of this. One stat that I found that Jerry Gaskins didn't mention is that one of these power plants puts out the emissions for 100,000 cars. They're limited to 50 megawatts, but they're going to have 8 of them. So that really bothers me. Also, the sound levels that this thing puts out at night is going to be horrid. It sounds kind of like bees when you get up close to it, but a little while ago there was a street roller ran down the road. I don't know if you guys could feel the vibration and the bass sounds that come in, but that's what it's going to be like. Maybe even at my house, and I live over by the old high school. So, I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I would like to make a motion that you guys vote for the moratorium right now. Let us all go home.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Keep some order in here. All right, next we have Richard Lanza.
That's great.
Good idea, but
I'm moving to Arcadia, kid. No one here wants this damn thing. Crazy.
Hi, my name is Rich Lanza. I live at 4810 Highway 72, DeSoto Village. I'm new here. I moved in February. I was born in Florida, lived all the way around the coast from Jacksonville to Key West to Pensacola. 45 years ago, I moved out. I went to the Blue State, up north, Connecticut. But for 45 years, I was an industrial and commercial contractor. I didn't build anything this big, but I built similar things. And there's nothing anybody said here today that I can disagree with. They're all right. Their concerns. And the biggest thing is, I've sat in front of boards like you 100 times. And it's the same thing. All people want is transparency. Well, the transparency is this. There's a guy in the Midwest. His name is Doug Stevie. He's got 2 data centers. He doesn't use a drop of water. His buildings are soundproof. They're built on a Faraday cage basis, which stops the emission. So even in your insanity of talking about this and trying to get it through the public, if it ever does happen, comes into fruition, you need to regulate. And you can regulate it by the type of construction. We don't have to have it affect the water table. We don't have to have it affect the air and the sound. We don't have to have it affect pollution. Propane generators can have clean air solutions if it's done properly. And the biggest thing is, we shouldn't be paying for it. So if you make it the regulation that they have to follow and abide by these things, then the burden is on them. So if they're gonna spend 30 million, what's another 20? If it protects the community, if it protects the public, the environment, the bees, and like they've all said, bees are life, water is life. I'm an expert at building these things. I did it for the big guys. I got paid a little money so that they can make a ton of money. But every project I ever did, if it didn't protect the community, I walked away from it. So, on top of it all, if in your insanity you do find that this is gonna happen, there's a guy by the name of Clayton Taylor. And he fought a data center. In 2024, the National Defense Authority Act. It limits anything concerned with national security, that they can't use any products made in China. They closed the data center down because did it cost a lot of money? Sure. You know, but I checked, there's 33,500 people in DeSoto County. If everybody gave $5, you know what that is? That's 150 plus. Do you think that would start a defense fund? And with all of these people, you know, that would be a serious lawsuit. That would be class action. That only takes 3. So, one of the reasons I came to Arcadia, I came here to die. I'm a 6-time cancer survivor. It's gonna come back what I had, one day. And I don't wanna die in a dying town. And if you allow this to happen, you're gonna kill the town. Me, I'll be replaced. You guys, you'll be replaced. But the rest of this town, they wrap their arms around it. And I'll tell you what, I know how to fight. I'll do it. I'll start with the first 50,000 in a legal fund to stop it, based on the National Defense Administration Act, 2024. So, if you can't get them one way, we'll get you another. You guys have a good day.
Julie McCormick? Julie McCormick? And we have Anna Serena. So, name and address for the record.
My name is Julie McCormack. I live at 5808 Purdy Lane. I don't live in Arcadia or DeSoto County, but I do live downriver from y'all off Alligator Creek, and I am running for the Florida House of Representatives for District 76. So I'd like to speak on this topic if that's all right with y'all. Now, DeSoto County has a choice to make. We can remain an agricultural community that feeds our nations, supports local families, and preserves our rural heritage, or we can gamble our future on one of the largest proposed AI data center projects in the country. I'm a rancher, I'm a farmer, and I'm a researcher for agriculture, conservation, and ecology. So I did my research, and I looked into AI data centers, the claims that are out there, the studies that are out there. Agriculture is not just a business here, it's a way of life in DeSoto County. I've traveled all around Florida, been in every single county that we have. I've dealt with multiple commissions, I've dealt with multiple municipalities, infrastructure issues, agriculture issues, development issues, you name it. Agriculture is so imperative to everything that we do. It is the basis and the centrality of our supply chain. In Florida, it produces hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue every single year. It's right up there with tourism. It supports ranchers, truck drivers, stores, veterinarians, mechanics, equipment dealers, and countless small businesses, not just throughout our state, but throughout our nation, okay? Belle Glade ain't around here. Used to be how Arcadia is now. Rural, agriculture focused, provided food to the entire country all winter long. They made missteps with their ecology, and now they're a monocrop wasteland. Agriculture jobs are sustainable generational jobs. They can't be outsourced to another state or another country. They produce something tangible, food, fiber, economic activity that circulates throughout our local economy and our national economy. We're being told that this data center will create billions in economic value, but let's be very honest about what that means. Those so-called billions are estimates of computing services generated for large tech companies and clients around the world. That's not money flowing directly into the pockets of DeSoto County families. It's not locally produced food. It is not a resilient, self-sustaining economy. There's a lot of talk about the bubble and the bust. A lot of analysts agree that the bust is coming in 5 years or less. You mean to tell me that the largest data center in the world is going to be built, operational, taxable, good for the community, and able to generate what was put into it in that time frame? You'll be lucky if it's built in the first 3 years. And the concerns don't stop there. Across the country, communities living near large data center developments have raised alarms about constant low-frequency noise, industrial emissions, and quality of life impacts. Ranchers have reported concerns about entire herds of cattle having no live births and only stillbirths or failed births, killing the cows, the heifers themselves, and axing their herd size by up to 30%. There have been research initiatives made into the industrial emissions, and quality of life impact studies have been launched nationwide. We are seeing children with heart murmurs. We are seeing people of the most vulnerable demographics, those who have disabilities, those who are young, those who are old, having heart attacks. Children. Heart murmurs, heart attacks, children. Residents in some communities have alleged increases in asthma symptoms, cardiovascular concerns, and impacts on the vulnerable populations. We are now seeing studies that are being generated about this. We're getting real data on this. Why is anyone making decisions, hard decisions about infrastructure that once it's built in, cannot be removed as easily before this data is in? It makes no sense.
Good job.
Would you be okay with me taking one more minute?
No, man, we've got a lot of people still here to speak.
I understand. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Anna Serena? Anna Serena? Name and address for the record.
Anna Serena, 126 75th Street, Miami, Florida. I do not live in this community, but my whole family does, and they could not be here today. So I just want to say thank you. It's hard to follow that. All of everyone that's talking. It's been very beautiful to hear everyone's story. But I'm here as well. So I would like to ask you to vote for a permanent moratorium against large-scale data centers and reject plans for many massive-scale data campuses and their partners. Such like our brave neighbors at Okeechobee and Walton County and Jackson County. Both have all put permanent bans in their county. So it's not easy to take serious look at business of technology, the really, really big business of technology. Tech companies don't actually sell data as their primary generator of value. The business of technology is very strange, and these software businesses figured out that products are less valuable than the connection to the products. If you take, how to say this, okay. If you take the tech companies and cut it up, inside of the tech companies, there's thousands of other companies, and everything is just all inside third-party providers, platform tools, more partners, subcontractors, and to put it in another way, finance is the only real consumer of the tech. So when you think of a data center the conventional way, there's hot-filled warehouse filled with GPUs, gorging all of our local resources, the water, the electric, the air, to both process and to cool. And let's not forget the screaming infrared sounds that is happening in these communities. But think of it as a collection of contracts, because these contracts are a series of connections between all these massive businesses that are outside of Arcadia. They're big corporations that, rely on the little guy. They're pushing rural people out of their own communities because of what they're doing to it. These entities are then handing off back and forth the stream of the debt and the contracts that are just the connection of all these. It's really hard to talk about, but when you dive into the research of all this and what's happening, you can't help but see the writing on the wall. And for them, it's their own gain within their own ecosystem. It's kind of like their own economy. Then you have the water rights, the backup generation, the contracts, the grid, the interconnection of all those agreements, and just who gets to make those decisions. It's like a crazy example is like Meta went and bought Clinton Clean Energy nuclear power in Illinois so that they could manage, on the safe side, have their own power grid. So, let's see. I guess what I'm saying is that AI is powerful. It's changing the software business. It's changing everything in our schools. It's changing, writing, analysts. It's a dying craft, and it's making all of these things die. Whereas like in this community, we have farmers, we have ranchers, teachers, there's all these things that we have to hold on to. I'm speaking as I live here because I come here a lot to get out of Miami. But AI software is, it's kind of like the devil, like everyone's talking about, but it's here, we have to hold on to that and know that the labor and the workforce that still live here and still work here is something to remember and just to take everyone's comment into consideration. So thank you for listening. Okay.
John Thompson. Nicholas Bradley will be up after him.
You got anything? Yep. No, you're fine.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. John Thompson, 1843 Southeast Piggyback Road, Arcadia, Florida. I spoke here at the last meeting when one of the votes was happening. And my background, I've probably worked in technology for 25 years now. I've worked in data centers, worked in cloud computing. sat in boardrooms with billion-dollar software executives. I'm not from here. Spent a lot of time in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and I think everyone's talked about the environmental things ad nauseum. I'm here to speak out against the data center for another reason. I spoke the first time expressing concerns, but I'm not going to repeat those about water, and many of those things have been mentioned here. I did see one person mention government, defense issues. If this thing does become a rather large facility, 500 acres, 1,000 acres, it's important to note that you cannot control what kind of workloads, what kind of AIs, what kind of things will be trained in that facility. So if the government decides Project Shield and unmanned weapons systems are going to be trained in that facility, then you can bet that pretty much every PAC-3 surface air missile and Sea Whiz and any aircraft artillery will be stationed around it, whether you like it or not. So that's one consideration. But one thing that I haven't heard anybody talk about is that sort of the ethical concerns. They've talked about ethical concerns with, environmental considerations, but cultural ethical concerns. So along the same idea that you can't control what AIs are trained inside the facility because it's connected, there are no laws against it. Anybody can train anything in any data center they want. If you look up a couple guys named Daniel Barkay and Tristan Harris, they worked for Google early in machine learning technology development. And they started a not-for-profit organization called the Center for Humane Technology. What that group does is they study AI and technological advancements and whether or not it's good for humanity or not. And so one of their latest articles warned that we've already lost the battle for human attention. So if you've ever spent any time with a mental health professional, you know that there's human attention, there's human emotions, and then there's the cortex part of your brain that thinks. But we lost that battle for human attention with social media. Now the next battle will be for human level intimacy with machines. This is very real. There are people, 30% in a study that they did, these are guys who used to work for Google, and they're dummies. They found that 30% of the population in the United Kingdom now confesses to having an AI companion and that it is beneficial in their lives. And when I say AI companion, I'm talking about a replacement for a human being. I'm talking about everything from a customer service level representative, which is not really a companion, all the way up to a mental health professional, a marriage counselor, or even a spouse, or a brother or a sister. These AI companions, they can be developed using augmented reality, virtual reality, digital projections to make them seem real to the human limbic brain and to the human eye. And they can be projected into the room. This is where we're going, dear friends. It's a movement called transhumanism, where machines and humans will either be integrated or they will be separated, right? And of course, when they're separated, it'll be the people that are, against integrating with the machines, right? So the humans and the machines will be competing for all the resources that it talked about. But more importantly, this is territory that used to be considered sacred ground emotionally and spiritually by Jesus Christ, or whatever higher power. That thing right there says, "In God we trust," used to be considered sacred territory of the human soul, is now being taken by machines. So at the end of the day, it won't take any longer. You can look those guys up. Center for Humane Technology, Daniel Barkay, Tristan Harris. Who are you and what do you believe? Because if you let it in, It will change your culture.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. Nicholas Bradley. Nicholas Bradley.
Great job, man.
Mr. Ritchie, you'll be up next.
Nicholas Bradley, 3309 Southwest Gopher Trail. I'm a mechanic, not a public speaker, so I'm going to do my best. I'm historically not very good at it. Me and my family, we just recently moved here. What brought us here is the tranquility that's on the sign. We love the grazing cattle, the community, the downtown area. We just want a safe place to raise our children. We got 3, and 1 on the way.
Congratulations.
And I'm against data centers. I'm concerned for the land, the water, and their health. A recent article published quoting Michael Cork, a Harvard School of Health researcher who studies the impacts of gas-powered data centers, who said these projects should not be viewed differently from public service power plants. Quote, a data center with an on-site gas turbine is functionally a power plant. One of the issues is it's not always regulated like one, unquote. In Virginia, the largest hub for data centers in the United States, an environmental group hired Cork to conduct a study investigating the health impacts of a gas-powered data center there. His research, which used the United States Environmental Protection Agency's COBRA health impact model and air permits associated with the data center, found the fine particulate matter emitted by the project could result in an extreme cost and financial and health issues, mainly from respiratory and cardiovascular illnesses in neighboring communities. Cork said communities like DeSoto County should have access to information about the potential health and environmental impacts of gas-powered data centers. Jesus calls us to be the salt of the earth. One meaning of that is to preserve what is good. From what I can tell, Arcadia and DeSoto County is good and a special place. And I feel good about raising my children here. And I'm proud to call this place my home. Please preserve it.
Good man.
Thanks, Mr. Bradley. Mr. Ritchie? Name and address for the record.
Tim Ritchie, 2616 Via Veneto Drive, Punta Gorda, Florida. I am a resident of Charlotte County. I'll tell you, I don't think we should be doing a temporary moratorium. I think you guys should definitely be voting a permanent moratorium. You know, being here brought me back to July 24th, 2018. I mean, I'm sure you remember Mr. Hank Coolman up here, Mr. Langford. He was powerful. But what message did he bring us? Well, he started talking about our water, our aquifer. Right now, we are in a critical crisis in our state of Florida. We've had terrible representation from Democrats. We've had even worse representation by the Republicans, and I'm a Republican.
Here, here.
What have they done? Well, I'll give you all a little bit of information that a lot of you aren't privy to. A real smart fellow. He likes to get on the phone and call his buddy and have him go out for a walk on the 34 acres. He says, I can't make any money out here. I'll call my Bitcoin guy. They couldn't make a go of it either. So he calls his gas guy up, his oil well man. That natural gas pipe is juicy. They figure it out. We'll be able to backdoor because we've got this gas pipe. Wrong. And I love the idea of getting to the church, but that reminds me of all of the Mosaic DeSoto County workshops. You guys had great questions. You know, and if you're all worried about the AI data center being a target for some of our enemies out there like China or Russia, why heck, there's a big target, everybody. There's 390,000 acre target manufacturing phosphate. You ever see the phosphorus bombs? That's what's really going on at Mosaic, everybody, not to feed the world. So, you want to put an AI data center out here. What about the total noise? I know about noise. If I plugged into a Marshall stack amplifier and put my 57 Stratocaster in it, I'd be having your chest would be vibrating. Play a little Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix. No. I'm going to tell you exactly what Mr. Hank Coolman would tell you today. No. But I'll tell you, in Tim Ritchie's world, no, with a period, is a one-word sentence. Write that down, everybody. You can use it. No. This isn't good. They're going to want to put one of these AI data centers in every city and in county. And you know why, everybody? Because Facebook isn't good enough to have a library of everything we do. It's like the flock cameras. You don't have enough information, fellas and ladies. You just don't have enough information. And you're playing with the human beings, the animals, and the plants. You guys are all agricultural, all cattle. You guys should know better. And that fella down in my county on the phone, he's old. His time's about to expire. But his greed gland cannot help him. He has a sickness. Just like all these big fat cats at Mosaic and all these big corporations, Bill Gates, they have a sickness. He needed medication for sexual disease. He had to ask Jeffrey Epstein, remember? We do not want this. Thank you.
Alan Andrew?
I gotta follow that.
Alan Andrew? Steve Adams will be up next.
I am Colin Andrew. I am from Sarasota. The biggest thing I think is that everybody here says no, and I saw this happen in Fort Meade when I went up there to watch them. The entire city came out, the entire city said no, and they just steamrolled right through it because the people that sit in front of everybody that come out here, for some reason, think that they know better than the people that put them in that position. And when I started doing public record requests on the Fort Meade incident, the whole thing, they actually fired their city attorney because they were trying to push this on the agenda without letting the public know because they don't want people coming out. And it kind of showed that they just want to make their own decisions. There's a video of the mayor saying, before he got in, I want to make sure that my citizens are happy. I'm going to do what they asked me to do. And then you see them all doing a line vote saying, yes, yes, yes. And they're promised $5 million shovel down. And then in a year, if they don't do anything, they're still going to give them $5 million. But they just claw it all back. And I think, the people here, it's crazy that they spend their time looking into all of this stuff. And I think that the tech guys that come in with their upspeak and they prey on small towns like this, they think that you guys are stupid. But look at all the people who've spoken. I think they're pretty smart. And they don't expect that pushback, which is now why I think the FBI is actually looking into people who oppose data centers. They say that China's starting this movement. I haven't had a Chinese guy come up to me and tell me, no data center. So My grandma grew up here. Her Mary Schultz. Last name, family name was Brown, and I visited her gravesite. And I remember growing up in Sarasota, and she would tell me about the farm. And I'll tell you, since coming down here a couple of times when I'm in Sarasota and bumper to bumper traffic, things like that, I'm like, damn, I might just move to Arcadia because I can't do it. The drive here is amazing. Like I always say, my fingers are soft because good men and women do all the hard work, and I'm lucky to just sit in air conditioning all day. And all the tech people around me, I had a tech company, I had like 300 clients, and in marketing, checks just written out, living the high life. But the closer I got to God, the more I realized none of that matters. The last meeting, there was a gentleman that came up here, I think it was a gentleman, might have been a woman, and she said, hey, we'll take the crumbling roads over to the data center. And that's like, there's your answer. I don't want to offend you, but the thing is that they're telling you no. And I mean, look at how many of you are up here, and look at everybody right here. I think you need a permanent ban, because they'll just keep trying. I got all the text messages between the council and the developer. They intentionally keep it quiet. They want to sneak it through like this one. They say, oh, we only want this little bit. And they think that you're stupid and they want to steamroll right over you. Yep. And they are soft target. Like you can go into the water, like you guys know all of this. You have social media. I hope you look into it. It's kind of obvious. None of this sounds good. So what is the issue of just saying no? It's the money, the greed. But they don't want this. So I hope they just put in a permanent ban. It doesn't bring any jobs in. Anybody here a server-side administrator? Like no one wants to do it. They don't bring jobs in. I've been tracked by Flock, and I don't really want another data center to keep holding more of my information. So yeah, I mean that's basically it. I mean they've done more research than a lot of these tech people. The tech people are looking, they're like, dang, these country people are pretty damn smart. So I just hope that you do the right thing. And I think honestly you should just vote no, altogether no. These people don't want it. Thank you.
Steve Adams.
It's hard following Epstein.
Everybody will be up next.
Kind of threw me off.
Name and address for the record.
My name is Stephen Adams, 1835 Northwest Myrtle Avenue, Arcadia, Florida. I'm going to try not to reiterate on a lot of what's been said. I know a lot of people are kind of running over on some different stuff, but I'm just going to hit on some things that I think maybe have not been brought up yet. Every time you type a prompt into ChatGPT, a data center somewhere evaporates fresh water just to stop the servers from overheating. Not metaphorically, physically, real water gone. A conversation of 20 to 50 questions consumes roughly 500 milliliters of fresh water. Microsoft's water consumption spiked 34% in a single year as AI expanded. These are not abstract numbers, they are liters pulled from rivers, aquifers, and reservoirs. In 2028, AI data centers are projected to consume over 1 trillion liters of water annually. You think you are using a free tool. You are paying with the planet's most critical resource, water. Now I know that this John Brown, he's loving the fact that he's got this 30-inch connector coming down here that fueled this 320 megawatt dual fuel turbine plant. That was 10 years ago. Well, in 10 years, a lot of developments have happened in Florida that are using natural gas. So that's not to say that still exists. It might be 6 inches, but it might not be able to produce what it used to produce back then. So what I'm getting at is they might need to bring in, most probably will, auxiliary power or hit our grid. And all I can think about is how close this is to the school. And anybody that knows anything about a generation of a gas turbine, it's going to pollute the air. All these people have brought up the cases of what it does to our health. And what I picture is these guys over there practicing football at the high school, breathing the garbage from that plant. These young girls that are doing track, breathing the garbage from this plant. Our aquifer is extremely precious in Florida. And it is huge, it's vast, but it's very precise. In the recent years recorded, it is dropping for the first time in recorded history. Not increasing, but dropping. So our springs, they need the rainfall and the extra water to keep the pressure in our aquifer. And then, as we know, underneath the aquifer is salt water. So there is a very, very small balance between the two that keep them from interfering with each other. Well, as we know, salt water is starting to come up into that. These data centers are going to suck this water right out of our aquifer. And you're going to be looking at a state that's going to be a wasteland. The other thing that I see is not only the cooling of these data centers. People are concerned about the cooling of the servers, and there's also the air conditioning systems that are going to need to be put in just to keep the buildings cool. All these things create a tremendous amount of noise. So I speak for the animals because they can't speak for themselves. God's precious creatures, they are all going to be affected by this. You know, the other thing they talk about too is John Brown was quoted as saying that what he would do is possibly go to a closed loop system, I believe he called it. Let me see if I can find that quote from them. Yeah, he said that that they are possibly the site's going to be designed with recirculating cooling systems somewhere like in your car. Like you don't add water to your car very often, and that's how they would operate. So that's the example he's giving. Well, there's just one problem. The data center doesn't go down the road at 35 to 70 miles an hour. So that extra cooling is going to have to come from somewhere. It's going to have to come from energy and power. And it's going to be energy and power. There's going to be noise and damage. And our wells in this county are going to be affected, and there's going to be a problem with them being contaminated. And I just can't believe that this beautiful area of our country, you're going to let it, please don't let it go to this evil being. Thank God.
Derek, bye. We got Tricia Perry will be up next. Name that just quick.
My name is Derek Bean, 1 Woodland Drive. So as I mentioned, my name is Derek Bean. I'm a computer scientist and engineer in the area. I run a small team of engineers that work on software and work on AI inside the area here. I'm coming to hopefully speak to you today to discuss some of the ecological ramifications of data centers in the area. I'm very excited about the technology and the implications of it here inside the computer science sphere. This technology has the ability to detect patterns and find discoveries that humans could not and would not be able to do otherwise. However, their models require an intense amount of computing power to do it. DCIP Group insists that their data centers would be good neighbors, and their aim is to minimize this impact on the surrounding area. They aim to do this through closed-loop water systems and on-site power generation. These systems aren't perfect. You have evaporative losses, and even with the on-site power generation, they don't work 100% of the time. The United States Department of Energy stated that data centers currently, as of 2025, have used about 17 billion gallons of water per year, and they estimate by about 2030, they will use anywhere between 731 to 1.125 million cubic meters of water every year. There's no perfect system that stays online 100% of the time, and that goes for the electrical impact there too, the on-site generators. I will mention that the Texas data center, Stargate, currently produces about 7.8 million tons of greenhouse gases per year. It's equivalent to about 2 million cars on the road annually. I think that these data centers are necessary right now, and there's an intense desire to build them because we have such a need, there's such a demand for the AI right now. I think in time, it will probably settle out and we'll start to see the computing markets return to normal and we'll start to see some of the hardware come back. But right now it's not that time. And if we just allow unregulated and unfederated building with no regard for the environment, when it does eventually level out and that compute power is no longer needed, what are we left with? Thank you.
Tricia Perryman?
See, that's a good nerd. Yeah, right? Like good nerds.
Name and address for the record, please.
3585 Diamond Avenue, Northport, Florida. I want to talk about a different aspect, which is the electromagnetic frequencies. I have a lung condition, I might start coughing. I was trying to think of what was the name of that horse that Helen of Troy. I don't know if they still teach that in history, but these people, they had a city that no one could break into, and their enemies, what they did was they built a big wooden horse and they put soldiers inside. And the people in that town were so happy because they were going to get this big gift from these people that were usually hostile. And so they let them in. Well, that's how they got defeated. And I think this data center is just like that big horse, because you get those electromagnetic frequencies in there, and you don't know what they're going to do with them. You already know some things they're going to do with them. You know that this one world government has no regard for human life, and you know that their goal is to have total 24/7 surveillance over every person in this country, every person in the world. And I think you better make this decision while you still have the will to make it. Because they use this for mind control. They start fires with it. These electromagnetic frequencies, the extra low magnetic frequencies, they can direct that at someone and kill them. They can direct that at someone and cause a heart attack. And we know they can start fires. We saw what they did in Maui and in California. And they know how to get more land if they want it. You will not be able to control a single thing that they do. And of course they want to be close to the high school. Those young minds. They'll have them all woke and changing gender before it's over. And I'm going, why Florida? Why in the Sand Hill would you build something like this in Florida? There's no place more inhospitable. For one thing, it's the heat. The heat, we know what the heat is. You got a cooling problem, okay? So Elon Musk says he's going to build satellites. They're going to put the data centers ultimately on these satellites. Why would they even want one on Earth? That's because they're not only what they're going to do with them is store data. That's not all they're going to do with them. This other thing is much more. That's why they're putting them on Earth right now. And pretty soon they'll be able to control us from the satellites, I guess. But anyway, everybody's talked about all of the bad things that this thing will do to this community. This is a beautiful community. I was going to move here. I'm in the process of wanting to move here, and I run into this, and I go, why? Why don't you put it outside of Punta Gorda if you want to put it in Florida? There's people, I'm sorry. But there's a lot of places that you can put this where there's no really sense of community. Now there is one. But you know what I'm saying.
This lady's awesome.
I'm ADHD, really. They're going to use it to control the population. And, hang on, let me see what else. And the thing about Elon, yeah, that's important. We think about Maui, that's important. Why Florida? Why are they going to put it in Florida? Out of why not North Dakota? Nobody would notice it, okay? In Florida because of who we are and what we stand for and what we believe. Our state above any other state. We're a stronghold. We're a stronghold against what's happening in the rest of the world.
And so of course they're gonna wanna put it here. Bunch of Republicans here for one thing. And I'll end with this, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But if you pass this is not a threat, this is just observation from sitting here this long.
Oh no.
You will be putting a knife in the heart of every one of these people. Just like that boy put a knife in that high school track boy's heart. That's what you'll be doing. And I don't know what kind of personal satisfaction you're going to get from that or what kind of reward, but I don't think it'll be worth it.
Kimberly Chidester. Kimberly Chidester.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kimberly Chidester, 5731 Southeast Airport Road, Arcadia. Last time I spoke before you, I spoke from the heart. Today I'm speaking to you from a military standpoint. I spent a majority of my life serving in the United States Marine Corps, proudly, honorably, with integrity. I enlisted to protect and serve my country and those that couldn't do it for themselves. You all enlisted, were chosen to protect and serve this county. People are saying no. I'm saying no. In war, unfortunately, serving from a bullet stopper to a leadership position, leading my Marines, there are three groups in war: insurgents, protectors, defenders, civilians. Okay, you guys are our protectors, our defenders. What's the purpose of war? War, greed, money, power, control. That's what a lot of these people who look at weaker countries, groups, whatever it is, they want to control. That's just what it is. War, we all watch all the things that have happened in the past. What have we gained? What was gained by those countries? As a Marine, starting as a bullet stopper, I was on that front line protecting the ones in between the insurgents and the protectors. I've seen it. I've seen the destruction, the death, the ecological impact of burn pits and setting off bombs. I've seen it, and every veteran in this room or anybody who listens to this can tell you the same thing. It's not pretty, folks. And what do insurgents do? What is their primary goal when they look at that, what they want? Okay, they assess, they infiltrate, they deceive, and they destroy. Looking how DCIP came in. They assess the situation. Oh, it's a small country poke town. We're gonna promise $25, $30 million. We're gonna do everything right, blah, 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 on those 36 original acres. And then it builds up and builds up and builds up. All the while saying, oh yeah, we're gonna give you guys everything you need. And maybe you guys have it, we don't yet. But look and think about the aftermath of if they come in here. You've heard statistics. You've seen the data on Google. It's there. Again, we're using AI, I know, to look at Google, but I'm not as lean and mean as I used to be. But I retired my war pack. I did. I have terminal cancer. I was supposed to be dead 10 years ago because of my time serving my country, and I'm still here. The big man isn't calling me home yet, I guess, and I'm okay with that, trust me. I don't want to go out anytime soon. But think about your legacies, folks. Think about the legacy of this county. I know you've got a job to do. Do a permanent moratorium on data centers. Let them go someplace else and cause war. You're putting us in war. And I know it sounds harsh, and I know it sounds like, yeah, okay. Look at just the aftermath of what's going on right now with these countries at war. It's not pretty. You know the statistics of what it's going to do to our environment, to our American way. Which, by the way, what is the American way? All of us, we used to go to libraries to look at that, and now we can just flip our phones, right? That's not the American way. It's investing in a life of blood, sweat, tears, hard hours, pain, grief, everything in our life that we wish we could have changed, but we didn't. We live with what we got, but it's life. You're going to bring this county at war if you do not tell these big AI data centers they are not welcome here. You were chosen to protect and serve our county. Please, guys, data centers are not the key. Thank you.
Thank you.
Savannah Dewey? Savannah Dewey? And Dean Davidson will be on deck, so take that just for her.
Hi, my name is Savannah Doig. My address is 4419 123rd Street, Cortez, Florida. I am not from DeSoto County. I'm over from Manatee County, Bradenton. I'm y'all's neighbor. You guys are kind of the light of defense right now for Florida. Manatee County has been developed to the bitter end. Every square inch is just basically concrete now because I have spineless, weak county commissioners. You guys have a very good opportunity right now to listen to your constituents, hear what they've said. All of them have mentioned very good points about the environment, preserving their heritage, all the effects that's going to have on the cattle and the ranching. You guys have a very good opportunity right now to do what is right, what is expected of you as leaders by the people that voted for you and put you in power. Public servants mean that you work for them. These are your employers. I'm not sure who sent your check. I don't even really care. These are the individuals that put you in power. And all of them that I've heard today have said no. Please respect their wishes and lead Florida. You guys, if you say no to the world's biggest data center, it will reverberate not only through the state, but probably through the country. You guys have an opportunity to do something huge. Tell them no. Stand up for your county, for your constituents. Thank you.
Dean Davidson? Kelly Kirshner will be up next. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Dean Davidson. I'm actually from Sarasota County. I'm not here from DeSoto. I actually came up here today because I heard that you guys were having this meeting. I do want to say that I don't think this is a left or right issue. I think that this is a people issue. I've heard things, woke, things like that. I don't think that we need to get into conspiracy theories about AI, stuff like that. I think that we need to focus on the real things that are in front of us. We've mentioned the environment, we've mentioned the way that it impacts studying, the way that it impacts the world around us, and it's going to impact your community. But also we have the issue of, like somebody said earlier, children are being abused with AI. You have people who are making AI pictures of new children, distributing that, and AI has to take that information from somewhere. So they're accessing the dark web in order to get that information as well. So you're willing to possibly have a 312,000 acre, if I heard that correctly? Oh, sorry, 112,000 acres. This is going to be 1,300 acres is going to take up and could possibly be used to exploit children, exploit your community, and also devastate the ranchers and everyone around it. You know, I have Cullen over here. We don't see eye to eye when it comes to things politically, but we're in a lot of the same spaces because we believe in a lot of the same things. I'm not sure if you're a Republican or not. I'm Democrat. But at the end of the day, you know, we all want fresh air, we all want clean water, and we all want to be able to live a peaceful life. Nobody in this room is my enemy, and I hope nobody in this room is my enemy. But I want to make sure that everybody has that right. Everybody has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, regardless of where you live, regardless if you're a cattle rancher, a city boy, or somewhere in between. You all deserve your rights. You all deserve to be heard. And remember this, when you go to vote, remember how these people vote for you. Remember what they say for you. We need to stop treating politics as if it's a football team and going with a red or blue card. We need to see who is grassroots, who is fighting for the people, and who is going to show up for you.
Mr. Davidson, can you direct the board, please, sir?
Oh, no, I'm done speaking to the board. Thank you so much.
Yeah, big dude.
Good afternoon, Kelly Kirshner, resident of Sarasota County, third generation Floridian. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. Coming out on this drive reminded me of growing up, antique shopping with my mother, but maybe relevant to today, playing basketball every year during high school at the still the best gymnasium in this entire region at DeSoto High School, which is appropriate because I think today you have a layup. I actually came out here expecting to hear there would be some voices that were talking about why you needed this. And I have yet to hear one advocate for this, which leads to the second piece that I wanted to share with you, which is a cautionary tale. I'm a reformed elected official and used to serve on the other side of the dais in the city of Sarasota. And the reason that I got there was similar to perhaps something that you're deliberating today, where a developer came in and said that they wanted to put 10-story high-rises right next to single-family homes that were built in World War II. And there was a crowd nearly as big as this crowd that says, no, don't do it. And they did it, and that entire commission then was voted out. And I don't think that's what you want. I think that what many people have articulated so eloquently today is really pleading to you in representing this full community. What was interesting is when that vote was taken, it was 2006. I think one of the things they said was how important it would be to add to the tax base by allowing these 10-story buildings. There would have been 3 or 4 immediately adjacent to these single-story homes. And it was interesting because we couldn't predict it, but in 2007, the Great Recession came. And so the property tax base decreased by 30%, and we had to cut our budget by 30%. And there was no development really for 4 or 5 years. And the city figured out how to do that. I think really what your conversation needs to shift to is problem solving. If you have near unanimity in your community that says, we don't want this, then I think the question for you is, well, then how do you stop it? And so the first thing is you have a zoning ordinance that says you can't rezone agricultural lands to be a power plant. And if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, and you're going to be generating power that's the equivalent of generating power for millions of households, it probably is a duck. And so you have a county attorney that I think can defend that. You have an individual here that's offered $50,000 to put up for you all to defend that too. You also have a pastor that's offering you to host this town hall meeting to really talk about what is your tax base that someone said it's gone up 300% in this past 6 years. When I looked online, the county's ad valorem has gone up 25% in the past 5 years, which I don't know about the rest of the folks in the room, but probably not many of us have had our income go up by 25%. So then that question is, with the pastor and bringing the community together, if what your driving issue fundamentally is a budgetary issue, then let's put aside what our national leaders are not doing and unfortunately foisting this conversation on you. This needs to be a conversation at the federal level, not in the DeSoto County Commission chambers. But if what your issue then is really a budgetary issue, then let's go to the pastor's church and have that conversation with the people. How do you address this? How do you budgetarily do what we need to do with your tax base? And let's not put this false choice on your citizens that you have to ram this down their throats. The last thing I'll say is there was one other incident in Sarasota as well with a super Walmart that similarly wanted to go into a single-family neighborhood. And the zoning code said no department store greater than 15,000 square feet. And there was a mayor of Charleston, South Carolina, I think the longest-serving mayor in the history of this country, who said, do not let anything go in your community unless it's the right thing to go in there. Walmart, similar to I think what is happening here, said, well, we're not a department store. We have groceries in there, so that's not relevant, even though it was 100,000 square feet, was going to be a 24/7 store with all of the noise of tractor trailers coming in at all hours of the day, including in the early hours of the morning. And again, there was a community that said no. In that case, there was a commission that said no. And when Walmart took that city to court in Sarasota County, they actually lost from the backbone of the community and elected officials like you that said no and had the backing of their city's comprehensive plan and zoning code to back that up. So I would encourage you to do that, to shift this conversation and really talk about what is best for DeSoto County and how do you address the needs now and in the future of your future generations. Thank you very much.
Louise Johnson.
He's a Democrat, but he did great. No, I'm just kidding. He did a good job.
Angel Walker. next, and that'll be our last speaker. Name and address.
I'm shorter.
Get a hotel.
I wasn't gonna speak today, but I changed my mind.
Name and address for the record, please.
I beg your pardon?
Name and address for the record.
Eloise Johnson, 4412 Northeast Highway 70, Arcadia. The reason I'm speaking is there's something that no one actually has addressed as far as this data center coming in. What they haven't addressed is if, by any chance, it does go in, there are contingencies. And there are problems that are going to come from those contingencies. The data center will, by all the powers that be and all of its legalese, go ahead and be able to push for more. Because every dot, jot, and tittle in that contract is going to be geared by billionaires to overrun our community and to take what they want. That's going to happen. If you give them a foothold, that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, there's also a matter of compliance. $30 million a year sounds pretty good at the forefront. But if somebody's giving this community $30 million a year, they're going to have a say. And this community will be expected to be compliant with their needs. And their contracts are going to say, this community, this Board of Commissioners, in their contract is going to state that they want, that this community is going to have to provide them access to safe operations, access to what they need to be successful. And that's going to be in their contract. Now, as far as them getting what they want from you, after they're giving you $30 million a year, there's going to be compliances. They're going to be able to say, well, the water level is pretty low, so guess what? We're going to put a moratorium on any new wells, and what wells are put in, we're going to have to meter them because we can't be stopped, because we have to continue. And they're going to use things like national security. They're going to use things like economic security. They're going to use all of those as excuses to do exactly what they want to do. And they're expecting DeSoto County to be compliant. Once they get a foothold, we will have to be compliant. We won't have a choice. Now that has to be considered. DeSoto County has so much more to offer than just a data center placement. We are not the state's dumping ground. We are not the outhouse for the state of Florida. We have a lot more to offer. DeSoto County, the people are its most important resource. And geared right, we'll come out of this. And that's what I wanted you to think about. Please say no. Don't just say no, maybe. Say absolutely no. Not because I live close, but because I see what's coming. From an economical and business point of view, I see what's coming. And I'd like for you all to take a chance and take a real hard look at what's coming. Thank you.
Angel Walker. Angel Walker. Name and address for the record.
Angel Walker, 3652 Northwest Highway 72. Live about a half mile from the juice plant, and I know that probably one or some of you live near the juice plant as well. As I came back here in this podunk town, our lovely city of Arcadia that we all love so much, You've heard the statistics, you've heard everyone else speak about this monstrosity of a building that's going to be coming in, all this acreage that's coming. Is it coming to also Arcadia Village, Oakview Estates, Toby's? How much of an effect is it going to have on that? I did have this little speech put together here, but since everybody's already touched on everything that we need to talk about, I might as well just, throw it in the fire pit. Oh wait, I can't do that. We're a fire burn. We don't have enough water to even throw it in the river to wash it away. So, matter of fact, with that, we need a car wash. We need job opportunities. If we're going to bring in this data center, then vote no against it to this moratorium. Don't just put a pause on it. Put it indefinitely. We need somewhere for recreation for our children to play. My son was here. I brought him here at the age of 13 years old to raise him in Arcadia, to take care of my dying family. They are all gone. They would be rolling over in their graves if they knew what was happening now. This is a monstrosity of a plant that is coming to our small town. And I'm going to keep repeating, podunk. And I also agree with what Mr. Turner has says. This is bigger than it is going to be. My sister, you guys have all heard the video. My sister's pool outside, the vibration. She is sick. Her husband is sick. My mom went there. She got sick. She is still sick. And you can't say it's from the playing. It's from the vibrations, the loud noise. I know some of you, if not one of you, or some have traveled from here to Virginia, to Arizona, everywhere you want to go. They have listened to the humming sound that is constant, no matter what. The loud, the construction, all day on Sunday, 11 o'clock, where you're trying to go to church, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Some may not have that hum, some may have. But the ones that did not have the hum, were they actually turn it on? Were they actually in progress? Were they shut down at the time? Or were they just, are they quiet? Are they quiet all the time with no hum? Because the hum that my sister hears every single day is affecting her health. I have heart disease. I have had open heart surgery. I have a mechanical heart valve. I'm getting ready to go back to have another bypass. I wonder if when I came to Arcadia, back home, to take care of my family, if the juice plant had anything to do with that. The vibration, the noise, the lights. This data center is going to be worse than anything else that we have ever had in this community. And everyone has voted no, except for one person in this building that would, like to speak on her own. But like I was saying, it's not just the noise, it's the air pollution. My sister has literally seen the gas fumes from the gigantic turbines that are in her backyard. She sees the fumes coming out of them, the particles that are going in the air that is affecting everyone's health. What are we going to do about that? Does anyone know? I think you know. I think everybody knows the answers to all of these questions that everyone has asked today. And no one is answering them. No one is getting any answers to any of these questions. So today, I ask that you, all of you, that we have voted in, to please say no to the moratorium and indefinitely, not just a pause, but indefinitely. Thank you.
Got one more.
Yes, sir.
You already did.
Yes, Lauren Hendrickson, 1683 Northeast Bishop Street, Arcadia, Florida. Please do not sign us up to be your lab rats.
Oh, wow. You just have her come in.
Ladies
We'll
and
do
gentlemen,
me.
that will conclude our public forum
Yeah.
of non-agenda items. Thank you all for your attendance,
Simple.
feedback, and cooperation. We're now going to kick off our meeting on to agenda item number 8. Before proceeding, I need to disclose that I saw the formal advisory opinion from the Florida Commission of Ethics regarding my participation in this matter, and I have a voting conflict. A family member that is potentially up for a property transaction of DCIP. So we looked into it and wanted to develop a data center on that land. Amen. Because of the moratorium on data centers, man, you're the special private gain or loss of my family. I must abstain from voting, so I'll pass the gavel on to our vice
This
chair.
dude's gonna profit from it too?
Which is Commissioner Lincoln.
You gotta send the bees over to his house.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. At this point in time, we have agenda item number 8, which is a temporary moratorium on data centers to discuss. So I'll open it up to the commissioners. Any discussion? Commissioner Gross, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so, Commissioner Langford brought this up last meeting, as far as moratorium and what that looked like as far as proposed, application and what we could do just further. And so I asked county attorney to kind of help draft up this moratorium on this deal. And so I can appreciate everybody's comment in here, everybody's, thought process through this, and I probably speak for most all of us. We hear you. We're not done to this stuff. We've done our research too, and I've said it in 2 previous meetings. When we've talked about rushing this thing through, even with the planning and zoning department, trying to get this thing done. I said I think we need to do the right steps. Get the people that here, the experts to help us and make the conditions so that we can properly protect community and the county. And I stand by that, even today, because we don't know all the facts. You can read a lot of stuff online. You can read anything you want online. Apparently, we have all been bought and paid for. I have not signed an NDA with anybody. I have not taken anything from anybody. I was born and raised in Punta Gorda. I moved here in 2006 to raise my family here. I'm committed to this community. I have been. And in 2021, I was appointed as county commissioner by Governor DeSantis. And I take that to heart. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to serve my community. And I love everybody in there. We can agree, disagree on a lot of different things, but I still love you. That's God's number 1 commandment, love. And so, Mr. Chair, with that, I would like to let the other board members have any comments, but then if our county attorney wanted to make any comments on moratorium and lengthwise. I mean, we have a temporary moratorium and she can explain that, but I think, it's gotta go further than just temporary. I mean, it could be a 2-year deal, it could be permanent, but we have to work through that process to make an ordinance for that, so.
Okay, I think it probably maybe would be helpful for me to go and speak on the kind of legal parameters of moratoriums, what they mean and why they are by definition temporary in nature, and then potential options. So again, as I indicated, moratoriums are by definition temporary. They are not permanent bans. The purpose of a moratorium is to allow the Board of County Commissioners an opportunity to review potential impacts, do the appropriate studies, and to provide for implementing regulations for data centers. So that 1-year time span would allow for that process. Currently, the county does not have specific regulations for data centers, so the moratorium would allow an opportunity to do that. Some of the things that can be considered are what are the appropriate zoning districts where they could be allowed or prohibited, minimum parcel size, setbacks, buffering, design standards, noise, lighting standards, utility and infrastructure demands, water, wastewater, stormwater impacts, and other operational impacts. There have been several counties throughout the state that have enacted moratoriums. You've heard some of them referenced here, Clay County, Hernando, Nassau, Jackson, Jefferson, Santa Rosa, to name a few, and all of them are 1 year. And there's a specific reason for that. Under state statute 70.001, which is the Burt Harris Act, moratoriums up to 1 year are generally defensible. However, anything exceeding 1 year could constitute an inordinate burden on private property rights. So that's why you see moratoriums generally for 1 year in time in all of those counties I just listed, and why that is the legal recommendation that I am making. Now, one other consideration is there is one property, as everybody has already indicated, the 34-acre parcel that has already been approved. And also there is a pending application for proposed PUD rezoning with a data center. Moratoriums generally would be prospective, so would apply to any future applications, but there is some legal risk and considerations with applying it to pending applications, which I've had those conversations with you all individually. So hopefully that answers, I guess, some of the questions and the framework of a purpose of a moratorium, why it's temporary in nature. One thing that, again, that would be prospective. And then also during the moratorium period, while working through those regulations, if there is direction to consider a ban, we can talk about the legal risks of that during that moratorium period. But again, it would be prospective.
Thank you.
Board member?
Thank you. I think that in light of a number of unanswered questions, a prospective moratorium makes sense to me. Going forward, I think we need to know for sure very firm numbers before we can make a decision on what the size would be, what size would be acceptable. If there is actually gas, like for sure, gas available to run one so that it had zero impact on our power grid. Zero sound off-site, limited size, and zero wastewater. Really all of the main impacts that people are concerned about. I think that moratorium will give us time to put those things into place, and then we can hear any application for anything. Everybody's got rights to apply for anything. But we also can make a decision once we've seen a presentation if it's gonna be good or bad. And I would encourage y'all to remember that we haven't seen this existing application yet. We did approve one, a small one already, but we haven't seen the second one that's already been applied for. So this moratorium going forward, prospective today, doesn't mean that we've approved a second data center. We haven't even seen an application for the second data center. So there's time for us to see that presentation when it makes its way to the board, and there's time for us to make the decision of yes or no at that time. So I wanna make sure that y'all know that I feel like to some degree we've been tried on the spot and sentenced to be hung when we haven't even had an opportunity to say yes or no to the second one. We did approve the small one, but it is small in size and would have a limited impact. But the second one that's already been applied for, I think we should be able to do our job and see it come here. And we've heard everything y'all have said, and we'll have an opportunity to say yes or no to that based on the information that we have at the time that comes to the board. But as far as a prospective one, I think we do need the time to craft some ordinances that will cover the county's interest on things going forward. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Chester, you have anything?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that you know that we have listened to you, whether you think we do or not. I wrote down everybody that ever spoke right from the beginning. Where you're from, how you feel about it, what your issues were. So trust me, I pay attention. I don't just sit up here for nothing. I was born here. I was raised here. You are my heart. You're the people. You're my friends. And if you're not from here, shame on you. You know, not my fault. But this is my county, and I don't take it lightly. Whatever I do is I do for you. It's not for me, it's for you. And like they said, yeah, there's lots of things said that's out there, and I don't care. That's what it's not about. It's about what is right. So, with that being said, as I told you before, I went to Virginia, and we went up there and we did this, checked it out, checked stuff out. I wouldn't take anything for that trip up there. I learned a lot. And with that, I'm all for the moratorium.
Just wanted to mention everybody that this topic is, very dear to my heart, but I wanted to, uphold the integrity of the county and the whole process at hand. It is in my district. I live within a mile of the property, and I do desperately want to vote on this topic and the moratorium. But unfortunately, like I said, just wanted to do what was right and to be completely honest. So we seeked out the Commission of Ethics in Tallahassee, and that's what was told by us by the higher up. So just wanted for the record to let everybody know that that's the process, and it's not that I'm by any means trying to duck out of this situation, this topic, this decision, because it's very dear to my heart. But like I said, just wanted to do what was right for the county, and that's what this board stands for. So we'll leave it at that and let you guys vote.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for following the chairman's rules of order today. I've never been waved at so much in my life today than I have, but I thank y'all for keeping it civil, and it makes for a nice, cleaner meeting. And we took an oath to protect and serve the welfare of DeSoto County, and I don't take that lightly neither. As Commissioner Groves kind of commented on, this kind of reminds me of 2018 when Mosaic was coming to town. We were all in their pockets. We took money from them. They had us just right where they wanted us, and we were just basically the worthless. Maybe not all five of us sitting up here. There was a few of us here, a few of us wasn't at the time, but I think we shocked all y'all. And how quickly people forget things, I think sometimes. But there's been a lot of negative stuff said by us by people that probably don't even really know us. You might think you know us, but you don't really know us. I look in this crowd today and I see people that's like family to me that I've known for a long time. And I think if you ask them, any of the rest of us up here, y'all see that we do care about DeSoto County. We're not a bunch of bought and paid for puppets like y'all said in some places. And I really take that kind of personal when things are said about me, especially from people that don't know me. And you got your Facebook or Backbook or whatever these other things are, because I'm not tech savvy myself. But so I just wanted to say that there's a lot of things that was said today that I've done research on this, and contrary to popular belief, I know more about a data center than I ever wanted to know, and because I've done a lot of studying. I didn't know that there was different types of noises. I know now there's all different kinds of sounds. A lot of the things that were said here today was right on the money from the research I've done and the stuff that I've looked at. There is noises. There is different frequencies that can basically drive somebody crazy. It reminds me of one of the old westerns I seen that I think Clint Eastwood presented, where the old man wouldn't sell out the railroad, and they built the railroad right behind his house. Every time the railroad come by, everything in his house shook, and he grabbed his ears and hollered his wheel. So I mean, I get it, and I think the whole board does. So this development plan that has been filed by the applicant is still under review, and I know that this board said, that we kind of like to speed this thing up, and that probably throws everybody off because they think, oh, you're trying to hide something from me. I've been sitting up here for 20 years and I ain't seen anybody that walks into that development department up there that drops off an application that don't want it done quick. No, I don't care if it's somebody putting in a golf course, somebody putting in a data center, somebody trying to put in a pit, a dirt pit. Everybody wants it done fast. So that gets asked every time somebody drops something off. So we ain't trying to pull nothing slick on nobody. There's a due process that's gotta go. Before this would ever come to us, whether this moratorium passes today or not, if it's included, if it's not, I don't know yet, until the board gets done deciding. But at the end of the day, it has a process it has to go through. It'll go before the planning commission before it comes to the board of county commissioners. It will be advertised just like the 34-acre one was advertised. It's been said that we didn't advertise it and we snuck it behind closed doors and approved it. That's a lie. That's a lie. A gentleman said that last meeting we had it here, and that we had snuck it in and it wasn't advertised. It was advertised. There's nothing that we don't do up here that is not advertised. If something comes before us that we have a question on, this board will table it to make dadgum sure that it's done the proper way, because we're not going to get ourselves in a bind for nobody. So I'm gonna hush, turn it back over to the board. I can't make a motion, I can't second a motion because I'm serving as the chair right now. So I'm gonna open the floor up, and whichever commissioner wants to make a motion one way, shape, form, or another, we'll entertain it. And hopefully, being there's only 4 of us, we don't get a hung vote, because we'll be here a little bit longer, but floor is open.
Mr. Chair, if there's no further comment, I make a motion for a temporary moratorium on data centers.
Okay, so let me ask one question. Does that include the plan that's already?
Yes. It can.
Okay, so let me back up. So the motion would be to direct me to prepare an ordinance for the moratorium. It would still have to come back to you under Florida law. The enactment of a moratorium has to be adopted with the same formality as a rezoning. So I'll have to prepare an ordinance, 2 hearings, it has to be published in a newspaper. So this would just be to give me direction to prepare an ordinance enacting a 1-year moratorium for any future applications. Of course, you guys can modify that motion, but ultimately it would come back to you for formal vote on an ordinance for the moratorium. And you can amend it at that time as well.
Mr. Chair, if I can restate the motion then. To direct county attorney to prepare a temporary moratorium on the acceptance, review, and approval of applications related to data centers and their facilities.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Gross. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
My stomach.
Hear none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. So we will, attorney will work on a draft, bring it back to us. We will have to have 2 hearings.
The 2 hearings will be before the planning commission, and then the second hearing would be before the board for final adoption.
Okay, so y'all all understand the process. This is gonna take 2 different hearings for us to finalize this, but it's in the works. Thank y'all for your time, thank you for your patience, and thank you for being cordial today. We got a 6:30 if y'all wanna stay. We got another one.
No.
Y'all have a good day.